Good evening. You're now attending a regular meeting of the first regular meeting of 2015 of San Juan Bautista Planning Commission. Yes. Thanks for all of you for coming in tonight. First order of business, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, if you stand with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we'll have a roll call. Present.
Here.
Here.
Here. Is this on?
I think she turned them all on.
Okay, we have a ceremonial item here, swearing in of continuing planning commissioners. Who's going to take that one?
Okay, so during the regular meeting of December 16th, the council meeting, there were 3 planning commissioners that were sworn in, that were appointed. This would be Vonda, reappointed. This would be Vonda Guibert, Pat Garrett, and Ernest Franco. If I could ask you to please stand beside your seat. Okay, and then raise your right hand. Okay. And please state after me. I do solemnly swear that I
Do solemnly swear that I
will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
discharge the duties upon which I am charged to enter.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Okay, we have the next item, selection of new chairman and vice chairman. Is the commission. Do we have any?
I motion that we continue with our current chairman and vice chairman. That is my recommendation for this new 2015 Planning Commission.
And that would be Ernest as chair and you as vice chair.
That is correct. If that's agreeable with everyone, that's
And
what I
that
would
would
like
be
to
a
do.
motion by acclamation.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there any other
I'll second.
motions? We have a second? All in, a roll call, I guess.
Okay, Trish, I didn't get... Okay,
As long as you call it, makes it official.
okay, just do it here.
Chairman votes last.
Chairman Franco?
Chairman votes last.
Sorry.
Chairman votes last.
Okay.
Chairman always votes last.
All right.
Okay.
Commissioner Medeiros?
Aye.
Commissioner Guibert?
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett? Commissioner Galarte?
Aye.
And Chairman Franco?
Aye, unanimous. We got
I
it.
don't know the last one.
No, what happens is that generally the chairman doesn't vote except to break ties.
Okay.
And that's the big thing about getting the big bucks in the cities.
And as Connie has, and as a rule of thumb, always when you ask for a vote, the chairman is always asked the very last. Yeah.
Do you have a speech prepared?
I want to thank you, commissioners, for the confidence you have in me for me to continue, and also to the council for my reappointment. We've spent a lot of time for the last 4 years that I've been on, and we have done, I think, a lot of things trying to bring order to the city of San Juan Bautista's planning function. We've had quite a few messes here and there, and we have worked to clean them up. And one of them, the sign code, was intended to make life better for the business people and the people affected by the sign code itself. We've had some major projects. We've had a lot of controversy in them, but we see our mission is what is best for the city, not as what is best for individual people or individual commissioners. And so I think I speak for the commission, we'll continue that. And you can count on us doing the best we can to maintain the principles of the general plan, zoning ordinance, and all the city's policies for the betterment of the community. Would anybody like to speak also? You got reappointed, or just like to speak in general?
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
staying.
Thank you.
I think we support that as
Yeah.
well.
Okay.
Our hearts are with you.
Thank you, sir, and commissioners. Okay, public comment. This is a time now where if you have anything you'd like to say to the commission, good, bad, or indifferent, as long as the item is not already on the agenda. If you want to speak about something that's on the agenda, hold off, and that way what you say will be in context with the whole item. This would be something, if you want to tell us how good a job we've done or haven't done, or some comments you'd like to make, now would be the good time to do it. Do we have any speaker cards?
No.
Does anybody like to speak even though they forgot to sign in? Okay, no comments. We'll go to the next one. Are there any informal project reviews?
No, Mr. Chairman.
This is the time when somebody who had an idea for something, before they expend their money on a big, with architects, engineers, and good stuff, to get an idea from the commission informally, what do you think? They want to put a 6-story building downtown, we can tell them, save your money. It'd be the time to do it. So, this is a fun job at times. So there being no informal project reviews, and you have seen several of them that have come through and have gone through to fruition. We'll let that one go by. The next we have is the consent agenda. We have on it the approval of the posting agenda, and these are affidavits by state law. The affidavit of posting and mailing of public notices, and the approval of minutes for October 7th, 2014. Unless we have comments, I would ask for one motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have comments on the minutes.
Okay,
Proceed.
proceed, yes.
Just one thing, and that's the spelling of Luis Candelaria's name on both pages 1 and 2. I believe his name is spelled Luiscandellaria. And I think that was it.
Mr. Chairman, I was absent for that meeting, so I would not be able to vote on that. So can
Okay.
we take all three at once? Or
Did
have to
you
separate?
watch the video?
Yes, I watched
Oh,
it.
that's it.
Okay. Fine. Thank you.
Yeah, as long as you're familiar. Well, as long as we're at it then, on page, page 3, second line, this item, knock off an S. Under B, and update, make that an update. And that's it.
Yes.
Somebody spent a lot of time doing these, so we have to read them. Okay. We have a motion for the consent agenda. If there's,
I'll move that we accept A, B, and C as corrected.
is there a
I'll
second?
second it.
We have a second?
Yeah.
I'll call for a motion.
Commissioner Rivera?
Aye.
Commissioner Duarte?
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett? Commissioner Maderos?
Aye.
Commissioner Franco?
Unanimous, yes.
All members of the commission being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Thank you. Now we have some public hearing items. Public hearing items are different from just items because we have to notify adjacent property owners, post the property, and post it in places where people can see them, namely the City Hall, Post Office, and the libraries. That's what we do here. The first one is consider an amendment of the 1998 general plan to change the urban growth boundary and land use designation for 11.7 acres east of First Street and San Juan Highway. The applicant is the city of San Juan Bautista. We're going to be looking for recommending the approval of an initial study and negative declaration for the general plan amendment, for the general plan and the urban growth boundary. And then we're going to get a resolution to approve the changes themselves and refer them to the City Council. Okay, staff, you want to start off with anything you want to say on this?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Commission, as you recall, when we got into the amendment of the urban growth boundaries and general plan of the parcel across the street, we recognized that there was an oversight in the preparation of the 1998 general plan, where it left several parcels, 4 or 5 parcels, on the east side of First Street there, outside the urban growth boundaries, and they were designated agricultural, minimum 5-acre parcel size, yet they had existing residential houses well over 50 years or more in existence and are being provided service. But when we recognized that in doing the project across the street, we decided to initiate a general plan amendment to correct that administrative oversight of the 1998. So we prepared a initial study that made a mitigated negative declaration. We circulated that for you to review. We've prepared a map here that I think can kind of show you the area that is the Alvaro, Dave Maderas, and then the Hanamotos, the Zuniga, and the Lopeza parcels. And each one of them were excluded from the urban growth boundaries.
Excuse me 1 second.
Yes.
Can you pull the screen down so folks can see through it?
Good.
I just- Thank you.
So we, instead of taking all the properties there, we took the line where the urban growth boundary existed now, and we ran it parallel to the houses and out to encompass approximately 11.7 acres. And the San Andreas Fault kind of goes through there and bifurcates the large portion of the Lopeza property and the backs of the Ribeiro and the residential that faces off of the First Street here. In recognizing that we did not want to change the whole area, we just selected the residential areas that would be along the frontage there, and that would be 11.7 acres. What we're asking the Commission to look at is the environmental initial study and negative declaration, and to adjust the urban growth boundaries from this line over to here, encompassing the 11.7 acres inside the urban growth boundaries of the 1998 general plan, and then change the land use designation from agriculture to low-density residential.
Okay.
You have to step down.
Thank you.
Which one is stepping down?
Now, with that, we would have to have Commissioner Maderas, who is a property owner within that 11.8 acre, he would have to recuse himself from any discussion on this.
I'm leaving.
Bye-bye. Don't go far.
There's an issue in a small town. At one time, there was 2 commissioners within 2 houses of each other. Okay, we have the staff report. Commissioners, do you want to comment? Do you want to hear? Well, let's have the public
I have a
first.
question, a clarification
Okay.
first. Under 6A, as a public hearing item, it lists 6 APNs, and yet throughout the body of the staff report, it refers to 5 parcels. It seems to me that 002-230-001 should not be included in this because, as far as I can tell, it's been farmed, it's not been a residence, and I don't know why we list 6, but we only talk about 5. So if you look at the
There would be six parcels. It would be 14, 13, and that is Al Ribero's. Then 12 is Dave Medeiros'. 5 is the Kamamoto, is it? Yeah. And 2 is the Zuniga, and 1 is a 15-acre parcel, but only 5.45 will be included in the urban growth. Now, parcel 01 is the 15.7 acres of the Lucchesa.
So looking at this map,
Mm-hmm.
there are 6 parcels. Parcel 1 is the Loaiza property, but we're
Yes.
not talking about their whole property. We're just talking
Not
about
just a
portion.
portion of it, yeah.
Okay, then in the body of the staff report, everywhere where it says 5, we need to change that to 6?
Is there a house on that?
There is a house on that, yeah. Mhm. In fact, there are 8 structures on it, you know.
Eight structures within the area that we're going to
Yes.
talk about.
Mhm.
Okay.
And on the larger piece, where is the house?
In the larger piece, the existing Abbey house, the old Abbey house, is directly north of parcel 2 at the easterly end of parcel 2.
So where on paper does it say that we're only looking at a portion of parcel 1?
Only the 11 acres that is included. It would be approximately 7/10 of an acre of Al Ribero's, 0.96 acres of the Dave Medeiros', there's 2 smaller parcels of the Kamamoto and the Zuniga, and then only 5.45 acres of the Lucchesa.
5.45.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's in the document.
I missed that.
Yeah, I think that
Thank
was
you.
in the, yeah.
Okay. Any other commissioner comments? Okay, do we have any cards? Does anybody from the public want to speak on this? This is a public hearing. You have the right to speak. If you
We
choose.
do have the comments of Caravanc presented
Okay.
several times.
Yes, and
for the
Caravanc had submitted her comments, and we've attached it into the staff report dated November the 3rd, 2004. And then the staff had prepared comments to Caravanc that explained the rationale, you know. Mhm.
Okay, so we've heard from the public, we've heard from the commissioners.
We didn't hear from the public.
Nobody wanted to speak?
Oh, nobody wanted to speak?
No.
Nobody?
Feel kind of left out, but you know how it is sometimes.
So that means that there's no opposition from any of the property owners, which is
None to declare.
interesting.
If you intend to make a appeal to the council, I would appreciate if you would tell us first to see if we can resolve it, because I don't think the council's job is to resolve issues, is to have the commission do it for them, and then they pick up the loose ends. So, nobody has any comments? We'll move on it then.
Okay.
Okay, let's do some action here. We'll close the public hearing, and see, the chair entertains a motion for Resolution 2014, it'd be 2015 now,
Yeah.
2015 XX. Okay. We were ready the last time, too. Okay.
Yes, sir.
The resolution for the Planning Commission of the City of San Juan Bautista approving the initial study and negative declaration for amendment of the 1998 general plan and the urban growth boundary and land use designation of 11.7 acres of land from agriculture to low-density residential, and recommend to the City Council the same. So I would entertain a motion for that item.
Do we have reviewed this in the past?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that accurate? And
We're ready for it on the...
we need to do it again for
Right.
other reasons. So we don't need to go over every item in the
No, we did that before.
negative declaration because we have already done that.
Yeah, this is a continued
So
public
this is a
hearing.
continued public hearing, and so I'm prepared to make the resolution. 20
Motion?
I
Okay.
move for resolution 2015, and did you, which one? 01.
Oh, 01, right, okay.
This is the first one. Of the Planning Commission of the City of San Juan Bautista approving the initial study and negative declaration for amendment of the 1998 general plan and the urban growth boundary and land use designation of 11.7 acres of land from agriculture to low-density residential, and recommend to the City Council the same.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. We'll call for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Duarte?
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett?
Aye.
Commissioner Majority?
He had to recuse himself. He lives within a certain distance
Okay.
of the project.
Commissioner Franco?
Aye.
All members of the commission being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes 4-1 abstain.
Okay. Now, part two, that was only the environmental things to show that will not have a significant impact on the environment. We have now a resolution of the commission amending, this will amend the urban growth boundary and the land use designation of the 1998 general plan of 11.7 acres of land in the northerly portion of the city. And Chair would entertain a motion to approve that resolution.
I'll make that motion, but I want to change under the fourth whereas, line 2, number 2, change the 5 properties to the 6 properties. And with that correction, I would like to move that we accept the resolution. Is that what we do?
Approve.
That we approve the resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of San Juan Bautista amending the urban growth boundary and land use designation of the 1998 general plan of 11.7 acres of land in the northerly portion of the city consisting of 6 parcels and recommend to the City Council. That's Resolution 2015-02.
Okay. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Guibert?
Aye.
Commissioner Duarte?
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett?
Aye.
Commissioner Majority is abstaining.
Who seconded that?
Commissioner Franco?
Aye.
All members of the commission being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes 4-1 abstain.
Did we have a second on that one?
We didn't get a second.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't hear me?
Oh.
You did? Okay,
Yes.
Great.
Thank you. Now, what's next? Item 6B, consider a request for a conditional use permit to Hacienda de Leal, allowing outdoor dining as accessory use in courtyard and patio area. Okay.
Why don't you give that to Frankie out back there? Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Mr. Leal recognized that on the adoption of the resolution at the last meeting that is going to take a considerable amount of time, and that he has requested that he would like the commission to look at and consider the conditional use permit portion of the project separate from the banquet building and the 2-story personal care building. And Mr. Leal is in the audience here, and he can speak to his request for that.
Commissioners, do you have any comments?
I'm just wondering about the document we received tonight is supplemental to the staff report. We haven't had a chance to read it. Does it contain new information?
I would like to make a comment then. The project is a large one. And there's been a lot of activity on the property probably the last 6 months. I have no problem with the project, with having a motel there, an upscale motel. But to take anything out of context is one way of going around the environmental laws and other laws. If you take anything piece by piece, there's no impact. But when you add them all up together, there may be significant impacts, which would not be seen unless you look at the big picture. So that we start out right now, I cannot support breaking this project up. I want to see the whole project on call it a master plan, a general plan, development plan, or something that will show the commission and the city exactly what is there and what is intended to be there. And then we can start adding up all the parking requirements, all the open space, landscape, whatever is required to make a great project. But unless we have the big picture and take it all as a single unit, we're not going to get there. That is my position. So, is anyone who'd like to speak on this from the public or a presentation?
Frank Leal with the Hacienda de Leal. I'm not asking for anything except for allowing me to have the restaurant on the patio. The property in 1979 was approved as a hotel and a restaurant, so it already has the use permit for a restaurant. The lobby holds 40 seats. That's what we were approved for back in, or the property was approved for in 1979. I'm just asking to serve people on the patio. That's all I'm asking for. I have approval from the health department. I have ABC working on my alcohol license, and I have a use permit from 1979 says that it was approved for a restaurant. So I'm just asking to be able to serve on the patio. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not talking about banquets. I'm not talking about a big master plan. I'm talking about staying in business and providing services for my guests.
Mr. Leal, does this mean that you wouldn't hold community type events there anymore?
No, I would.
Okay.
I would. But as a restaurant, I'm not asking to build a building. I'm not asking for, if the city doesn't want me there as a banquet facility, I'm okay with that. I want to serve people food on my patio. That's it.
And what kind of food? Do you have a pizza oven there?
Yeah, we have a pizza oven, and we built a menu for our guests, and we can't be considered a hotel without having room service. And at the prices we're charging, I can't call it a motel. It's not going to work.
Have you been serving wine and food out there now?
We have.
Yeah. Without a health permit or without the permits?
No, we do have a permit. Yeah. Yeah.
Any other comments, questions?
Nope.
Thank you.
And I think the situation that Frank's in with this is the way our ordinance reads is that you can't serve food outside of a dining hall unless it's a conditional use permit and it's associated with a restaurant. You know, right?
You can't serve alcohol outside either, right?
Yeah, right. So, yeah. So then he has to establish his presence to be a restaurant before he can serve food into the patio. That's the way our ordinance reads. You know.
Now, is there a restaurant parked in your place already?
Yes. But we can't control people from taking a glass of wine from the lobby and walking 10 feet out to the patio.
Yes, you can. You lose your license if you... This is one place you don't want to lose your license. Because, I'll go back to my own uncle. He had God rest his soul, he had a restaurant. He bought a restaurant and was ready to set it up. He hadn't checked with ABC. And they wouldn't give him a liquor license because the sin was with the previous owners. And for one calendar year, they could not sell alcoholic beverages on the premises. So we're very conscious of you're not losing the license, because I understand it is a major part of the business.
Right.
And I have lost restaurants in the past because they couldn't get liquor or beer and wine licenses.
Yeah.
So I understand that.
Because that has happened, at, like Mom and Pops and Daisy, people walk out and the bartenders grab and pull them back in, because like ABC could take your,
Right.
shut you down right now. So.
Yeah, no, there's no question. We understand. Okay, let's hear from the public. Do you have any? Does anyone in the public would like to speak on this matter? For, against, or in between?
Karen Gretisoff, 1108 3rd Street. Just a little, I'm listening to the conversation. This is the first I've heard about the Leal for the food on the patio. In the summertime, I also found out that they are pet friendly. Thank you. But in the summertime, I think it'd be a great place even for this community to go and eat on the patio and maybe take their pets and sit outside. It is something my husband and I like to do. I don't hear that he's trying to build structures or continue to build like the Winchester Mystery House. I'm hearing that he just wants to take what he currently has and moves it out to the patio and give that option. I'm all for it, so I hope you can look at it that way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also think like her,
Your name for the record, please.
Rosa Loaiza. One of the charms of really coming to San Juan Bautista is, to be able to eat outside in the patios, and being able to do that in their place is really very attractive. So I think, if that is all that's going to be done, I like it. It looks like it would be nice. Just the idea of being able to, to eat in the patio. The restaurants have the little place that you go outside, and I love to sit outside instead of inside, but I just hope that it would be considered.
It's another option.
From the charming point of view.
No, there's no question.
Thank you.
We have more options when you come to the city. This has nothing to do with the personality of anybody. This is strictly, does the law allow this, or is it not? Or the other issues related to planning, zoning, and the environmental laws of the state of California. And that's all we're dealing with.
Would it make a difference if Mr. Leal withdrew his application for the banquet building and the second story, and then just says all he wants is just the conditional use, and he withdrew his application for any further considerations on anything?
Speaking for myself,
Yeah.
we have seen that, we have known for some time that there's a major renovation program up there.
Yeah.
And so if you take any part of it, again, it's just saying, well, restaurant only needs X spaces, but
Yeah.
we got this whole complex.
Yeah.
So,
And that aspect would have to be addressed in this existing complex. The pool removal, the pizza oven, and the development of the restaurant. That just, and that's something that he might want to talk about.
Yes, in fact, I do want to build in the banquet facility, so I'd rather just keep it the way it is. I didn't get the warm and fuzzies the last meeting, so.
well, the key thing is, like I said, to get the whole big picture. And what I want to do also, I've talked to Roger, we've heard a lot about this place, we've talked about it, we've had comments for and against it, good and bad. I would like to have a planning commission field trip to your premises there. And this way, instead of having a commissioner go here and there and get different tours and answer different questions, commission would go as a body and ask questions and have the whole layout described to us. And then when we start processing the big one, we have an idea of what's where. We're not talking about in space, out there someplace. No, we know exactly.
Right, but
So-
I'm thinking I'm past building the banquet facility and the spa, so. I think I'm just fine with, it has approval for the restaurant. I just want to do that and just move on.
You could always revisit it.
Would it be acceptable as to we post it for the 5 commissioners to have a tour of the
Sure,
facility?
sure, that's fine.
Yes.
But I'd like to just pull my application with all the work I've done on the banquet facility, just pull that. Just keep with the restaurant that it's actually permitted for.
Okay, will we be coming, hearing the liquor license for the premises?
Right now, the liquor license is pending versus the conditional use permit. Is that?
Well, the conditional use permit shows that it was permitted for a restaurant, so.
But alcoholic beverage is a whole different field. Will that come as an independent use permit?
No. As a use permit?
Use permit for on-site sales?
You know, I don't know, the use permit was issued with a restaurant, but there was never an alcohol application for serving alcohol on the premise for the last 30 years until Frank comes along and then he's requested it.
Might want to check on that so that we get it agendized and cleared.
Yeah, right.
If he's got a bona fide restaurant, instead of bona fide alcoholic beverage, the appropriate license.
And I think it would be beneficial for the full commission to go through. I know Matt and I have been there several times, you know, doing inspections and as to get an idea of the full complex.
Okay.
And the public is invited.
Right. When they post, since a quorum of the commission will be present, that makes it basically a public hearing.
That's fine.
Or a public meeting. So under the Brown Act, state law, anybody who wanted to follow the commission or work with the commission would have the right to be there. Just so you know that ahead of time.
That's fine.
Thank you. Okay. Where are we with this one then?
And if you guys so desire, you let Trish and I know, and we will make sure that it is advertised as a public meeting.
72 hours. Okay. So that's the end of that one.
So what exactly have we
Yeah,
accomplished?
what exactly are we doing at this point in time with this issue? I'm still...
Well, he wanted to separate and have a use permit just for the outside eating. And
And so we said to the applicant, what is our position?
that we want the whole package to be seen at one time, not just the part here and the part there.
So now there's no whole packet. There's only just the original
Right, there's
part
as far-
with the use permit already
Applies.
applied, offering.
Has there been significant changes on the use permit that would void it?
No, it's by and large, they redid the room and everything. It's the only significant change was the removal of the pool.
And adequate parking, everything, all the parking lot spaces that were supposed to be there?
And the parking lot has been increased substantially
Okay,
compared
that's
to,
good.
right.
And so there is a restaurant established there. So
Yeah.
the
They
exception,
have the facilities there and the pizza oven for the restaurant, but it has not been approved, you know, as a use permit, you know.
So do
It's
we-
authorized, but it's never been finalized, you know. And so,
we're not relying on the 1979 use permit for a motel, is that right?
Well, the use permit for the 42-unit motel still exists.
And did it have a restaurant?
It had authorized a restaurant.
It had authorized a restaurant, and now it's a hotel, which is not that different from a motel, is that right?
Well, if it authorized a restaurant, how many seats did it authorize?
It didn't
40
specify.
indoor.
Yeah. yeah.
40?
Or 40, yeah.
40 indoor.
40 and
So are we not still going to consider a request for conditional use permit, or do we not need to because there is one in place?
He wants to have the outside dining. And that's the part that, just that as an independent use permit, aside from anything else he's got on there.
So all you have to do then is go to the alcohol and get a permit, right? And then they're gonna okay it outside.
Is a use permit required for an alcoholic beverage permit?
But our ordinance says that dining in out of the building is required as a conditional use permit as an accessory use to the restaurant.
So
He has the ability in his use permit to create the restaurant.
Right, but he
But he
doesn't
doesn't have the ability to do outside dining unless he goes to the
or
conditional.
serve alcoholic beverages.
Yeah. mhm.
So a
So,
use permit
and that's
is
the-
required.
That's the quandary that we're in, is that, and I've met with him, and I says, develop your restaurant, under the conditional use permit, get all the health permits. Now you got to go back and then get the conditional use to serve outside. Otherwise, you
Well,
have
even
to have
to serve-
everything inside.
Right, but even to serve inside, he doesn't have a ABC permit for that.
Well, I'm applying for it.
Right,
He's
that's what,
applied for
that's
it.
what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
But I'm saying,
But-
is a use permit required to serve alcoholic beverages in basically a new restaurant? Because it doesn't exist.
No.
He's got a permit already.
No, he's authorized to get one, to have a restaurant, but it did not, it's not like it was fully developed.
Every restaurant, you're allowed, you can apply for an alcoholic beverage permit.
Permit, yeah.
So it's up to the ABC to give me a permit, but I'm authorized since I have a 40-seat restaurant.
Okay,
So, and I'm already 2/3 of the way through the
So
application.
this is for
but
outdoors.
my question is still, he's got a restaurant, he's going to serve food, he wants to serve beer, wine, and other libations. Is a use permit from the city required to authorize on-sale beverages?
No. It's
Okay, that's
commercial
unusual.
zoning, it's a commercial zoning, and the use permit allows the restaurant, and that restaurant can apply for serving alcohol beverage.
Right, but
Yeah.
again,
Now, where our catch is that once you have dining outside of an enclosed structure, then it requires a conditional use permit.
Right, that's the way I'm taking it.
Yeah.
You know, I always
Similar
had-
to,
I've always had to hear use permits for alcoholic beverages, like an Italian restaurant. They had to get use permit, that was part of the use permit was specifically authorizing alcoholic beverages. That went to ABC, and it's okay. What do you guys say? The city says it's okay, then they dealt with the applicant in the neighborhood. So if it's different here, okay.
yeah, I think the application that Frank gave us was, what's the zoning, and we said commercial, and then it says, does it allow use as a conditional use permit? And I says, yes, it does, but you have to have a conditional use permit to do it.
For the beverages,
Yeah.
which it doesn't have. That's what I'm saying. If he needs one, we got to get him on the next agenda.
For a conditional use, that's
A
one of our
conditional use
conditions.
permit for alcoholic beverages for the restaurant.
Because, and we conditioned this use on that next ABC,
ABC has to do
Permit.
that,
is that right? What we're doing?
Well, if they'll approve it, I'll have to go with staff on this one.
Yeah.
Well, how would you rephrase the item on the agenda? I mean, if this is not what we're doing, what are we doing?
Well, we're not doing that. We're not authorizing outside sales of alcoholic beverages or food.
Yeah. I would say is let's continue this till the next meeting, and we'll have the tour of the facility. Frank can show you and demonstrate what he has on board there. We come back, and then if you feel that you can adopt a conditional use permit that allows him that privilege to serve food outside, beverages outside the restaurant portion of it.
It's not the food issue. To me, it's just the fact that we got a major development here that should be carefully scrutinized by the city through the Planning Commission and Council if necessary. And I just want to make sure that whatever impacts you're picking up here, because you're going to have a neighbor, you're going to have a service station with quick serve food, convenience store, and sale of fuel. Your people are going to be using that thing to go back home. It's the closest place to buy fuel, and why not just get it there? So, on the big picture with the development plan for yours, I'm going to see the development plan for the service station, which is available to staff or even
That has
architects.
nothing to do with what I'm applying for. I'm
No, these-
applying for, I have a use permit for my property for a 40-seat restaurant inside. I want an alcohol license to serve people inside, number one. Then I can come back and say, okay, now I want to serve people on my patio. That's it. I don't want to make a big shenanigan about this whole thing. I have a use permit for a 40-seat restaurant in my lobby. I want to serve people a glass of wine. I own a winery. I want to serve some local wines. Why are we making such a big deal about this? The ABC I have a consultant that filled everything out. All they need is a signature saying that property has a restaurant on it. That's it. There's no special use permit for a liquor license. There's nothing like that. It's 90 days for me to get this license. So and this is part of the reason why I withdrew from building a banquet facility and a spa is, it's overwhelming that it just seems so simple that I want to do business in this city. I want to bring in tax revenue. I want to do nice things and bring nice people here. And you don't even want to give me a liquor license for a permit that I already have. I have a restaurant permit. I have a building I have all these building permits that said I can build a kitchen in the old pool house. I have the health department signed off on it. I got the state wanting to give me a license, and then I have a city that doesn't want me to be here. I can't figure this out. There's no special use permit I'm applying for. I want a liquor license to serve my 40-seat restaurant. That's all I want. I don't want anything else. I don't want anything else from you guys. I just want to build something nice and have something in town where I have my customers traveling from far, far away. I want to serve them a glass of wine and a beer when they get here. That's it. So however you guys want to kick it around, but there's no special use permit for a liquor license.
So he's already got a license for 40-unit restaurant, right? So all he's asking for is
A use permit.
a use permit. For
To serve
outside
outdoors.
the patio. That's all he's asking.
No, a conditional use permit.
Well,
Conditional, yes, yes.
Yeah.
To serve it at all.
And that's,
Yeah.
Which is pretty simple.
yeah.
And if he doesn't have that, then his use permit,
Why
he
does
has
it
to
need a
continue to
conditional?
serve it
So we
inside a
We
building.
give him the use permit, he's gotta go to the ABC, they give him the license, that's it. He can serve
That's it.
alcohol outside.
He can serve
Yeah,
alcohol,
right?
he
Both.
can serve alcohol, everything has to be served inside.
Alcohol. However,
Alcohol.
the rest can be outside. Is that right?
No,
The
the
other
only way
foods?
you can serve food or alcohol outside a building
Conditional
is
use of
through the
permit.
conditional use
Conditional
permit.
Yeah. So that's all he's asking for.
And that's what we're asking for.
And I had wanted a site visit when we were talking about the banquet hall. I wanted to see the scale, get an idea of where, and I don't need to do that now. I mean, I can go.
No, because he's withdrawn all that
Right.
part. All he wants right now is just a use permit for he can serve alcohol outside and lunch.
Yeah.
That's all he's asking for. And it's not an increase of the traffic there because he's only got 40 units.
I have 40 rooms and I have
Right.
100 parking spots.
You got
100 parking
right?
spots.
You got 100. When they built that, I don't know why they put 100 parking spots, but they must have plans to build another unit on the
Restaurant.
property you got now.
No, I think he's developed 100 parking stalls. When it was taken over, I think there was only 66, 67,
It was probably around 80, I think.
Yeah,
maybe
that's
80,
what
I don't
they
know. I can't
told
remember.
me, yeah.
He's expanded the parking.
So all he's just asking for is a use permit.
Yeah,
That's all.
I think we
Why
can
do
make a
we have to
motion on
condition
this
it?
conditional use
Why do we
permit.
have to condition?
We
it?
don't have a resolution for this.
There's nothing, yeah, there's
No,
nothing. I think staff.
We'd have to schedule it for a public hearing for a conditional use permit.
So all we're doing is recommending
Isn't that what we're
that he
having?
go for a conditional use
Yes,
permit.
yeah. And
I thought
we'll schedule it
that's what
for
we
a
were
public
having.
hearing.
But hold on one second, I only need the use permit to serve outside. What I'd like is a sign off on my liquor license in order to serve inside. which shouldn't be any type of permit, because I'm already permitted for
Yeah,
a restaurant.
he's permitted for that. Yeah.
So at least that I can get started with getting my liquor license to serve inside
Through the ABC, right?
through the ABC.
Yeah.
And that's all they're waiting on. They're waiting on one signature.
And then they'll come down and look at your property and tell you,
Right.
you have to put a fence up here, if you got kids, you gotta fence it up and all this stuff.
And then the conditional use permit would be to serve outside,
Right.
food and wine.
So he wants two things.
This ordinance is very interesting. Okay,
It's an anomaly.
so staff is directed, or requested to set up a public hearing for, when, again, the site plan, make sure everything is just related to what we're going to see, what we're going to deal with, and nothing else on it.
Yeah.
And if there's any violations on it, they got to be cleared up before we even talk about it. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Is that consensus, staff, or commissioners?
I don't know that do we need a site review now, site visit?
This is a big project,
I know.
and you've
well,
never
is
been
it?
on, you've never
Is
been
it
on the
now?
whole picture.
But what is there going to be? What do we need to look at?
I think it would be beneficial for you is to see what he's done with in terms of his kitchen and restaurant.
This is going to have a significant impact positively for the city. I mean, this is something we don't have. And so, all you're doing is driving by. At least you can say, I've been on a property and it's good, bad, or indifferent. You can support it because you've been on it to see it.
I just don't want to hold up the process.
No, this wouldn't hold them up.
This doesn't hold up the process of him applying for and getting his liquor license. All of
No,
that can
no.
be in place
That
despite
could
the
be in
fact that we
place
haven't
by
made
the
a...
time we get ready to grant the conditional use to allow him to serve outside of a building.
So,
And he's already applied for the ABC to get the
Yeah.
license for outside and
Yeah.
inside, right?
Why does it have to be conditioned? I don't understand.
That's it's called a conditional use permit.
Because in this ordinance quoted in the staff report, it just says an exception to outdoor dining as an accessory to a restaurant. Well,
His restaurant isn't fully
It is-
developed either.
the restaurant is not fully developed, and that's,
It is.
It is.
Oh.
Oh,
and it's permitted and being used.
let's go out and see it.
so we're going ahead with this conditional use permit.
No, we're just
No.
recommending that he go ahead and apply for it.
But I
right?
think what Frank wants is
What-
there's
right.
a form that his representative brought to us that
Yeah,
Roger had to sign that says that he has a use permit for a restaurant. And I think what Frank wants right now is for you to direct Roger to sign that
Okay.
form, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, that's what he wants
Yeah.
tonight, and then we can deal with the
Okay,
conditional use
that's,
permit.
that's not clear in the staff report.
Here.
Okay,
Here's that.
so,
Yes.
what...
So that's
what
why
are
I'm
we
saying we
doing?
need to direct staff to proceed,
Find the document.
please.
So what does this form specifically say? Do you have it?
I saw it
asks
briefly,
the
but
city if the property is zoned for a restaurant. That's
The
it.
answer is yes.
And the answer is yes.
Because it's not zoned for, it has a permit for, has a use permit for.
Right.
the
There's a
basic,
there's a difference.
He already had the use permit for a restaurant.
yeah.
Because it's zoned.
Yeah, there's two sections of the thing is what is the zoning, and it's commercial, and what is the use, a motel with a restaurant, and then the second is there any conditional uses required?
Oh,
Use
And that's
permits.
just, that goes back to the thing, and it doesn't say I paraphrase the section of the thing, but in your zoning ordinance and your thing there, it goes down, mixed use, commercial, this is what a C, a P, permitted, and C, and it said a C under commercial, and that means it's a conditional use permit.
and that's what,
And that's what you have to honor, yeah.
Well, you got the permit. You can answer the questions.
Yeah.
So the only thing the city has to look for if it's restaurant it has in there, if it's up to code with the fire sprinklers over the stove and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if that passes, it should be,
Yeah.
So,
all right.
so on record, what do we state?
Well, the commission doesn't need to do anything on this.
Okay.
Staff has the documents that they're
Yeah.
going to transfer the numbers onto the application form and send it back.
satisfactory? Okay.
I think we support that.
So all we do is set up the public hearing for next meeting And we should get this one off the road.
Good, okay.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, we'll close this item then. Let's see. We have another one. Consider approval of Resolution 2015 something for pre-zoning a 12.5-acre parcel of land at 830 Mission Vineyard Road, fronting San Juan Hollister Road and Mission Vineyard Road, and recommending to the City Council. The applicant is Dale Koch. Staff.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, your memory is recalled that you had processed a environmental initial study, an environmental document for modifying the urban growth boundaries and changing the land use of 38.87 acres. Of that 38.87 acres, it was consisting of 4 parcels. A .78 parcel the city owns as well, number 3, 12.5-acre parcel that Dale Koch owns, an 18.08 parcel that King Dominguez owns, and then a 7.52-acre parcel that the Ottoboni family owns at the western edge of it. We expanded the urban growth boundaries with that initial study and mitigated negative declaration to move the urban growth boundaries from the south property of the San Juan Hollister Road out to the boundaries so that we could include that as an industrial application for an agricultural business park for the 12.5 and the 18.08 acres. The 7.5 acres was extended in the urban growth, but it was designated as agriculture. Okay, that was adopted by the Planning Commission. We proceeded. Since then we've pre-zoned the 0.78 acres of well number 3, and we've pre-zoned the 18.0 acres of the King Dominguez to industrial. Mr. Koch came to us and he says, now that this is there, he would like to participate and have his property zoned industrial. It would complete the 18 and 12.5 acres that would connect it to Mission Vineyard Road as an potential industrial complex. And so he's requesting that, and I have it on the map there colored in yellow, the 12.5 acres that sits directly behind well number 3 and adjacent to Mission Vineyard Road.
So are parcels 35, 36, 37 already zoned industrial? Or I don't know where the King Dominguez and the cities.
King Dominguez is what's the number on that one?
22?
22, yeah, 22, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the one next to the well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Black Riser.
Yeah, and then the 7.5 acres, I think, is parcel 14.
4, it looks like.
7, yeah.
That's
the Ottoboni?
Ottoboni, yeah, right. And then the city well was parcel 39.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the little small piece right down at the corner of Mission Vineyard Road and San Juan Hollister Road.
Yep.
All the way down, yeah. It's 3/4 of an acre.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody in the public want to speak on this item? Any cards? Any latecomers? Okay. You heard the staff comment on this. We acted on it, I guess, last fall. So at this point, unless the commissioners have any comments, I would entertain a motion for the approving the pre-zoning of the 12.5 acre parcel.
But before you make the motion to pre-zone, item 6 on my staff recommendation action is to make a motion affirming the adoption of the initial study and negative.
Right.
In other words, it's redundant, but we just want to make sure that you're aware that that document had been previously approved and you're reaffirming it.
Wasn't it in the resolution?
And then what about item 7?
And then item 7, then you go on to approve the resolution
Approving the pre-zoning.
approving the pre-zoning. Mhm.
In the resolution,
So do you want to entertain a motion right now?
no, wait.
Mhm.
Okay, in the motion, in the resolution, 4 parcels amended, et cetera. Oh, the commission approved negative declaration on April 13.
Mhm. You-
For the
you-
4 parcels.
You adopted the initial study and mitigated negative declaration 21419, and the city council adopted it as 21448. So it's been adopted. You just want to make a motion
Oh, just
physically here
comments.
that you say, we reaffirm that the initial study and the mitigated negative declaration was previously adopted.
Okay,
I
how
just
would we want
wanted
to
you
do
to go
that?
on record, as in the record, to say that you acknowledge that the environmental aspects have been complied with.
Okay, do we have a resolution for that, or just make a motion
No,
on
just
it?
No,
a
I'll make a motion to affirm the adoption of the Planning Commission's resolution on 2/14/19 and City Council's resolution 2/14/48 with findings for the initial study and negative declaration of the amendment to the 1998 General Plan, urban growth boundary and land use designation of 38.87 acres, consisting of 4 parcels, APN 012-190-014, parcels 022-038-039.
Okay, do you have a second of the motion?
I second.
Okay, call for the vote.
Commissioner Guiber,
Aye.
Commissioner Goularte,
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett,
Aye.
Commissioner Maderos,
Aye.
Commissioner Franco.
Aye.
All members of the commission being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Okay, now that we've declared that we know that it's environmentally
We affirmed it.
reaffirmed and confirmed,
Negative declaration. So we want to make a motion to adopt the resolution 2015, which is going to be number 03, 02?
03.
03.
Okay,
03, a resolution approving the pre-zoning of the 12.5 acres to an industrial zone district and recommending to the city council.
okay, I would like to make one comment on the resolution on line 1, where it says request to pre-zone a 12.5 acre parcel, as opposed to an.
Okay.
The first line, where it says to, at the end, to pre-zone and 12.5 acres, change that to a 12.5 acres.
Should actually take off the S on acre, a 12.5 acre parcel.
Parcel,
Oh.
yes.
Oh,
Might put
Thank
a
you.
hyphen in it.
okay.
Okay, gotcha.
If you accept those comments, we'll, on the
Question.
So I just made a motion
okay,
And
For-
Georgiana's second.
we have
for
a
the
second.
resolution. And you seconded it?
Didn't you?
No, I did the first one.
Oh.
I didn't do the second.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Or this is my second body. Okay, call for the vote.
Okay, Commissioner Guiber,
Aye.
Commissioner Goularte,
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett,
Aye.
Commissioner Maderos,
Aye.
Commissioner Franco.
Aye.
All members of the commission being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Okay.
Now, with this, I think, just to reflect back there, we had talked about this for almost 2 years, that we're setting in motion an area that we can attract industrial, agricultural, business-type development, and that's right across from George Deason and an existing industrial complex. And that's going to be our industrial area for the city where we can create the type of industry that can offer employment opportunities and expand our tax base.
If you know of any businesses that are looking for a home, refer them to our city manager.
Ag-related, right?
Ag-related.
Ag-related.
Yeah, this we want.
Commissioner Franco, before we go on, I had someone question, a newcomer to the community, not understanding how what the sign posted on the property actually meant. And they were confusing that the numbers of acres for this one and this one, thought they added all up to that one piece of property out there on the highway. My suggestion is that the next time we post on a piece of property, if it were highlighted, the one that belongs to that particular spot, it might be helpful to the public.
Good
Oh,
point.
yeah.
Just
Little
a
little map on it.
yellow marker.
Little map on it, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll go to the next item. Action items. The sign permit for the Golden Wheel Antiques on 3rd Street. There has been a request for a continuance. Without any discussion, as the commission has otherwise, we could just continue it. Since they're not here to, they've asked for the continuance, and there's no point in discussing it without them.
Agreed.
Consensus? Okay.
Consensus?
Sign ordinance. You've heard this word for 4 years now. Sign ordinance, accept as amended and send to City Council for approval as soon as possible.
Immediate, an immediate.
So in the green and underlined text, you see the changes that we talked about at our last special meeting. So just,
Thank you so much.
thank you. And I think that's it.
I want to comment that Commissioner Guibert goes one step further than the rest of us. She helped staff by making the changes. The staff itself is really tied down, and to get this thing through, she did all the work, and she has continuously done work through the whole time, cleaning stuff up, getting it online, and getting it back to us with all the changes. Thank you, Commissioner.
Very, very, very helpful, and we thank Ms. Vanda for the help that she's done, because it took a big load off of Trish and I and Matt.
That's what I do.
So on record, we're saying what today?
Are we making these final, do we accept the final changes, and are we ready to send it on to City Council?
That
I
would be
am.
the motion.
We don't
Do
have
we
a
have to make a motion on that?
we don't have a resolution.
Yeah, right.
Do you see a resolution here?
Is there a resolution? After so many times, you figure.
Can we make one up right now, or
Well, I'll
what?
tell you what.
204?
We have done an environmental review on this one, someplace in the past, and I think the staff is capable of looking for it and finding it, and prepare a resolution accordingly. But I think the big issue is the action itself, and the chair entertains a motion to recommend this revised ordinance to the City Council for adoption. Basically, we're amending the municipal code. But we're just going to, our job was to prepare it, agree to it. So our approval of a resolution says we buy this, and we want you guys, council, to adopt it as the law for the city of San Juan Bautista.
Is that a direct or a recommendation? To adopt?
Yeah.
We recommend to them that they adopt our document.
And if I could just paraphrase it as a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of San Juan Bautista approving the draft sign ordinance and recommending to the City Council for the adoption thereof.
Yeah,
Right. So we're going to get a resolution number today?
sure.
Is that 04?
21504.
Appropriate.
So did we just made a motion? Who's going to second it?
No, I didn't make a motion, I can't. So, that's, I just kind of paraphrased what
Okay.
we'd be looking for. So
Okay.
that's what you would have said?
Yes.
Well, how about having
Yes.
Vanda say it, since she has done all the work?
I think Roger took the words right out of my mouth.
See,
So-
good staff, great team here.
Yeah.
That would be the motion to adopt the resolution.
That is correct.
21504 with corrections.
With corrections.
Yes.
With corrections.
From Maderos or from Guibert?
From me.
There you go.
Is there a second
Yeah.
to this motion?
David wants to.
I'm going to second it because I've been at it longer than...
Yes!
Once
Good
that's approved
answer.
by the City Council, it's law.
So we
Yeah.
have a motion, we have a second after 4 years. We'll call for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Guibert?
Yes.
Commissioner Goularte?
Yes.
Commissioner Garrett?
Yes.
Commissioner Maderos?
Yes, aye.
Right on.
All members of the commission being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Yeah.
So Trish, when you send it on to City Council, you'll take out the color, yeah.
Yeah, we'll
With,
put it in the final form for, it will be to the City Council as an ordinance.
Okay.
with ribbons and flags.
Now, see, that ordinance is going to have a full public hearing, and then, two, isn't it?
Yes,
2 public hearings, and then there's a 30-day waiting period before it goes into effect. So we're talking 90 days from the time they get it.
Yeah, the first public hearing will be the introduction to read by title only and introduce the ordinance. And then 30 days later, it would be for the adoption, and then 30 days after that, and then it becomes law.
So you can support your local planning commission by telling your council, approve it. Okay, next item, 8. We, hey, everybody comes out against us. They come out for us here. A workshop for Rancho Vista. And staff, you want to tell us about that?
We're going to take a few minutes here and have Bob get ready for the meeting. Let's just take a quick break here, and then he's got some presentations and some...
With 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Bob, how long would you like? 5, 10 minutes?
5.
Okay.
2 or 3.
We'll recess or take a 5-minute break. Thank you, sir.
Oh, for this thing? Oh, that's right. You got to do something. Yeah. We still got a quorum anyway. Yeah. I keep forgetting about those things. Oh, that was going to come under where? Oh, no, let's do it. Let's see. Okay, teachers and, why don't we just do it right now? See one commissioner? Yeah. Okay. Say what, is anybody else here? We'll take interest. That one was the big one. Well, we had a lot of controversy. I didn't know how it was going to go. And, so, do we have to get out of here? Yeah, I told Mike for this presentation. This is part. I didn't think so. Only when we have to vote. Yeah, right, exactly. This is just for information. Yeah. Yeah, we don't have to go. Monta, when you get a chance. this is all about. I thought it was just a nice thing to have. Right here? Okay. You're welcome. Happy New Year, by the way. Yeah. Thank you. I did not. You get a permit for that. What did I do? What did I do? What do you mean I extended my driveway? Oh, no, I got a permit for that. Yes, I did. What I did was I took out my lawn and put in cement. Gosh. October or September? The public doesn't see it. You can't see it, yeah. You can't see it. I did hear it, you got it? Yeah. But I did do some work in the back where I bought some reused asphalt that was ground up. You know how they grind it up and haul it away? Yeah. Well, they haul it to my yard, and it makes excellent patty. Really? Oh, yeah. And when it rains, it doesn't wash away. It just kind of washes off, you know. How about that? Yeah, it's really nice. So, does your house overlook the valley? Yeah. Oh, wow. So what I did is I had a small driveway going to my shed. I have a shed in the back with a roll-up garage and everything else. Well, then we moved, we moved to the back. No. The big house, we don't live there anymore. The big house in front, you don't live there. I live in the small house in the back. Okay. It used to be just a garage. And made it into a one-bedroom home. Okay. Right? And that's where we're living. And in the back, there's a driveway that goes to the shed. And I have to enclose one of the overhangs for storage because we moved, yeah. So then I re-padded that all back to where that reusable, yeah.
Then you can just try to sneak
it. So from the little place you can look, you still can look. He's not done. So you would never build behind you. You couldn't build behind you, could you?
No, because that's what the fault, yeah.
I'll call the meeting back to order now. You ready?
I'm ready. Good evening, commissioners, staff. Bob Fulton with the Rancho Vista project. I know it's probably the first time you guys have noticed me in the room. But I do want to thank you for all your patience over the last little over a year as we've been talking about this and wandering through it. And personally, I'm excited that tonight I actually get to put a plan up here to get your real feedback on so that we can move forward and continue going. I'm going to warn you right now that there are 15 slides up here, so if you see me going fairly quickly through them, it's why. We want to get to the very end one, which is going to be a diagram of the neighborhood we're creating. But as we get there, I want to dispel a few of the myths that are out there. The first one is how many homes that we're going to propose on here. Rancho Vista is 28.3 acres, and we are, last time you saw it, I believe there were 98 homes on the map. We have 85 homes proposed on the tentative map, and that's about 3 houses per acre. So it's a much lower density than you've seen previously. Lot size, we actually have a number of 6,900 square foot lots. They are 60 by 115 square feet, so they're a hair under 7,000 feet. But the bulk of them are much larger than that. This project should occur in about 7 phases. Each of those phases will be roughly a dozen homes. And if you talk about timing, a phase is typically a 4-month type scenario. And with 7 of those, just the construction of the homes is probably 2.5 years, somewhere in that ballpark. That doesn't happen until we've got the infrastructure started and everything going in. So it's not an overnight project. You are not going to have a large number of homes shortly. We are going to have the entrance monument. Hopefully in the traffic calming, you're going to have a roundabout out as the city has requested on the entrance into town. And it'll put a new connection from San Juan Highway over to 3rd Street. Matt, which button do I push on here? To the right, thank you. Maybe? Thank you. 2 items tonight. We're looking at the tentative map, which you're going to see. The development agreement we talked about a while ago. I think we actually went over it in August or the start of September. And really, essentially, what a development agreement is, it's just a formal agreement between the city and us as the builders. And part of what it does is it locks us into the contribution that we're going to make, which is above and beyond your impact fees, building fees, and anything else. And we know that there's an infrastructure problem within San Juan Bautista. There's a water issue that has to be corrected. And all of the things that are coming up require funds to do it. On top of what you would normally be charging to do a residential development, we're going to be contributing another $6,000 a home, which is over $500,000. And that is part of the development agreement, which outlines the building fee structure that's already in place, timing of the payments, and timelines for the development. So it will generate a pretty substantial amount for the city. Impact fees. I'm going to walk through this real quickly. These are the fees that are paid one time up front. And you can see that we have a park development fee, library fee, public facilities, storm drain, traffic impact. All of those fees go to those direct funds, but the total of the impact fees is over $1.8 million coming into the city. Go ahead. I'm right. On top of that, these are building fees that are issued based upon the size of the homes, number of bedrooms, number of different floor plans that are done. But again, this is revenue that will be coming into the city as the project goes on. This is over $250,000. You ready? Again, as I mentioned, in the development agreement, the voluntary portion of this contribution is $6,000 per home from us, which is over $510,000. Then let's talk about annual income. You now have another 85 residences within the city. Those residences are tied into your water fees, your sewer fees, all of the fixed costs that everybody's absorbing at this time. You now have a larger base of people to spread those amongst, which can possibly reduce the fees, but also stop them from having to increase by having more users on the system. Based on $150 a month average fee, it generates $153,000 annually in water and sewer fees. The city's portion of the residential property tax, ballpark estimate is going to be around $30,000 a year of what the city receives out of the property taxes. And then when you look at the number of people, which is about 3.2 per residence, multiply that times $200 a person, which is sales tax generated annually within the city, and that's an average of what is already occurring within the city. About $200 a person, there's another $53,000. So on an annual basis, this neighborhood is going to contribute another $236,000 towards San Juan Bautista. So if you add it all up and you look at it real quickly, you have the one-time development impact fees, then you have the building fees based upon houses and house sizing, then you have the Rancho Vista voluntary contribution. There's $2,665,000 that will be coming into the city to help with all of the infrastructure issues that are here. Top that off, just if nothing changed, if there were no appreciation, you're still getting about $236,000 in annual revenue between the water and sewer fees and taxes. That's your financial contribution that this project will make, just the quantifiable portion. Next slide. These new residents, if you take a look at 85 homes, and what we did is we said, okay, what would a normal 75% approximate loan-to-value type mortgage be? What income is that person going to have to qualify for it? We asked a mortgage broker to tell us what requirements, based on those requirements, what is the discretionary income that these families should have that'll get spent somewhere. Some of it's going to get spent locally, a lot of it gets spent in other areas, but it is their disposable income. Those 85 homes should generate over $4 million in disposable income that gets spent. People walk around town. People buy glasses of wine. They buy food. They buy merchandise. They are going to be local residents. Top that off, especially on a new home, everybody invites friends and relatives to see their new house. Those are all visitors that will be coming in, that are probably not coming in right now to San Juan Bautista. It's other people that will be attracted to the community. Next slide. Let's talk a little bit about what you're going to see on the map. that's coming up. And again, as I've listened to the direction through the general plan update meetings, through all the meetings I've come to, through the people that I talked to about San Juan Bautista, what we continually heard is we really like the way Creek Bridge came out. We like a lot of the things that were done there. And this is going to be a Creek Bridge style neighborhood. It's going to blend in with San Juan Bautista. But it will be newer housing. Newer housing is more energy efficient. It conserves water better than older homes did. A house that's typically built in 2014 will use about 40% less water than the same size house that was built in about 2000. We've gotten that much more efficient with appliances and systems within the house. So you will have houses that fit in and look like they belong here, but they're going to be much more efficient. They are going to be technologically efficient homes. One of the things that I really find attractive about San Juan Bautista and that portion of town is the way that you guys incorporated this split rail white fencing throughout Creek Bridge and some other areas. And it's around the ranch right now. That will be a theme that's carried out throughout the map that you're going to see. Obviously, the heritage style lighting that's already existing in town. We have the dark sky ordinance that exists. The lighting will have to conform to that, but it will be the heritage style looking lighting. Then we get into the things that came up as to what would people like within the neighborhood. And part of what we heard is we need room for bicycles. We need to be able to have a connection for bicycles to get through the town. We've included an 8-foot bicycle path that goes from San Juan Highway over to the 3rd Street area. Along with that, we have people that like to walk, jog, mountain bikes, other things. We've included a 10-foot wide decomposed granite walking path throughout the project. What the project also does is it connects that portion of San Juan Highway better to the downtown area. And we know that one of the big concerns was traffic coming into town, the speed with which it comes into town. And throughout the meetings, we've heard that it would be great to incorporate a roundabout on 129 as you're coming in to slow down traffic. That's part of the project. Then we get into something that I think is great. And in reading through your city housing design guidelines, whoever came up with the guidelines did a really good job, I think, in most areas. It asks for a diversity in architectural styles. It asks to keep garages set back, not at the very front of the property. There's some wonderful things in there that have created Creek Bridge and are a great guideline, and this project will follow those guidelines. It'll have to. But I think you guys did a great job in that. The other thing it'll do is this is now going to connect both water and sewer from the 3rd Street side over to the San Juan Highway. There's been talk about eventually relocating the sewer treatment plant further down the road, and also talk about potentially putting a well over on that side of town. This will address those issues. It'll make that a possibility. So those are kind of the design features as we step into it. Okay. I talked about walking trail connectivity. Oh, excuse me. Oh boy, I'm hiding my drawing. I apologize. And I don't have room for it.
Turn the chairs around.
Not really. And you guys didn't think an attorney was good for anything other than the paperwork.
Drive a house better than you could.
Thanks, Mike. Again, this is kind of the conceptual of what you would see looking over at the project from the San Juan Highway. You've got the split rail fence out in the front. We have a creek that the drainage channel that meanders along it. There will be some open space before you get to the actual houses themselves. So this would be as you were coming down San Juan Highway looking toward the project. Going back to the slide, we talked about decomposed granite walkways. This is what we're envisioning, something that belongs. It's a stabilized decomposed granite. It's not just a rock walkway. It's actually a very solid surface that is also permeable, but makes it easy to walk, easy to ride bike, easy to use. Okay. Let's go. Part of the project is a detention area up toward the front, and we'll show you that on the map here shortly. But our intent is to make the detention area usable other than just holding water, because it's only going to have water a little bit of the year. We hope it'll be planted in a natural grass, allowing you to be able to walk through it, use it. We intend to put picnic benches. We're looking for a little input on exactly what you'd like to see in those areas. But on the perimeter of it, I think we can do a wonderful job. As I mentioned, we talked about this project being done in phases. We've broken it up into the 7 phases that you see. Do I have a pointer around here? Did I do that? Oh. Let's go back one. Okay. In 7 phases. Up front, here we have the San Juan Highway with the roundabout. The first phase would be projected to be done slightly back from the road. So you'll be able to see it well as you wander in on the San Juan Highway. We'll then move into the north side of the property and then up toward the front. The intent is to work the way through the project over toward the 3rd Street side in the final phase. All right, John, let's go.
Will all the streets and gutters and everything be in before phase 1?
Not all of the streets and gutters, but it will be. It'll have to be from San Juan Highway. Yes, that's fine. Either one. From here back past about here for phase 1. And the reason for that is the permit required for the bridge over here at 3rd Street is probably going to be one of the most time-consuming things for the project to get that done. So to hold it up and say, hey, we're not going to do it until we have the permit on the bridge could hold us up a year or more. So we would like to work the way through the project this direction.
In Creek Bridge in Salinas where we lived, we never got the bridge. The bridge never was built.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
Well, we will have to bond, and it'll be a condition of the project.
And what Bob is referring to is the bridge involves the Fish and Game Corps of Engineers. And when you go through that process, it's a very lengthy review process.
Actually, they had wanted to do a covered bridge, and they never did do that, but they did do a bridge much later that they needed for the next phase, I think.
Yeah.
So what about, I was going to say, I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
I'm done. Go ahead.
What about the open space?
I'm going to go to that here in just a second.
Okay, but is that going to be part of the first phase?
Absolutely, that has to be part of the first phase, the detention area. Yeah. The Army Corps of Engineers, and one of the reasons that I know that this will take a period of time, is they had 7 inspectors or 7 agents to cover this region of California, and 4 of those agents moved on and left the Corps of Engineers. So they now have 3 people covering 7 people's jobs, and one of the 3 people has been out for 3 months on a bicycle accident. So we know that's not happening real quickly, but it will happen. So again, we're hoping it happens quick, but it'll take a little while. Let's go to the next slide. All right. I think everyone has a copy of this map that they can take a look at. This is a little bit blurry in here that you're seeing, but I want to walk you through some of the things that we were told were very important and the design aspects that we kept within the neighborhood. When you come into the neighborhood right here at the main entrance, which is Street A for us, as you come in from the roundabout, you will have a median down the center of the road. We're going to have a tree-lined median, so you're going to actually drive in what we think will be a very elegant entrance. On the right side of it will be the natural, it's a drainage channel, it'll be the open space. On the left side will be full open space for the detention area here. And right now, this is the driveway up to the Christopher Ranch. So if you go out and look at the property, you know there's nothing changing here other than it's going to look better right up against that side, up against where Creek Bridge is. Okay. It doesn't show up quite as well right here on this drawing, but on the maps it shows up a little better. The decomposed granite walkway, this is the 10-foot wide path that'll come along the extension area, and then it'll cross over here and work its way up Street E and over toward the bridge. That is the decomposed granite, the 10-foot wide path. And one of the things that that we wanted to do was add an amenity, add a reason for people to use that path, encourage them to use it. The red dots that you see on the map and are all fitness stations. They're spread out at this time. There's 12 of them starting up here at the top of the court along the path that work their way down through here. There are a number of different outdoor fitness types of outdoor fitness equipment that could be used along the path here.
Is this what we call a park course?
Well, a park course is an example of that. A park course is traditionally some fixed structures for sit-ups, chin-ups, pull-ups, that type of exercise. There's also some other equipment that's out there now that is movable equipment, and it works off of your own body weight. There's machines out there that can be left outside. They're designed to be outside full time. They don't have padded seat. They have nice powder-coated seats and materials so that they can stay out year-round, and they don't require a lot of maintenance. But they operate with resistance by your own weight. We may not need 12 of those, and we may figure out that, hey, they shouldn't be spread out. Maybe we should incorporate them more in one area, so you may have 5 or 6 machines at one spot, 5 or 6 at another. And I say that because in talking to the companies that produce these, they've said, hey, we think you get more use if you don't spread it out. If you consolidate a few of them together, it seems to be used more than if it's not.
Where's your detention pond at?
Right here.
Is that gonna be enough to handle all the water that comes down through out of the mountains and that parking space?
I'm going to ask Ann Hall, the engineer, to come up because we also have some other bioswales built within here, and she'll be able to show it to you. But yes, we did have her do a drainage analysis of it to make sure, because we know it's been an issue.
So, and all of these areas that we're looking at right now that are green are open to the general public. There are no gates and...
There are no gates. It's a public neighborhood, public facilities. We're trying to encourage people, everyone, to use the paths through it, the bicycle lanes. Yes, it's designed to help bring people to the center of town.
And down at the lower part of the detention pond, way down way, come down more, down this way, down, keep coming, more.
Oh, here?
Is there a bridge going across right there to get the water from one place to the other part?
I'm not sure what your question
Down
is.
here at the bottom road, right, come down more, right there.
Right here.
Yeah,
A bridge?
get the water across from one part to the other part. Because there's a lot of water come down that canyon right there.
The water, I think, comes down over here.
Well, a lot of it come down over here too.
And our grade is going to change so that some of this will be raised up.
Yeah.
And you'll see it's really going to encourage it to be flowing through this direction. This is actually an underground pipe right here. It goes from this side over to the drainage channel.
And while we're looking at all that area, that the arch at the bottom that is white is the home of Christopher right now? And that is in county and it is not in the city, is that right?
Correct. The line right along here, and it curves up around their property and back, is that 60-acre portion of theirs is in the county.
But the house is in the city.
Well, half of the house.
Half the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is all one parcel along here, 58 or 60 acres. But this line straight through the house there is a city line, city limit line.
Half the house is in, half the house.
Yeah. Some of the other items that have come up and are part of the city design guidelines is if you look at the front of each property, they're designed with the traditional curb and gutter, and then you have the setback between the curb and gutter and the sidewalk, the planting area. Now it shows up here as green because that's currently what it is over in Creek Bridge. Those are grassy areas. With what's gone on with our water in the last couple of years, that may not be a lawn area. It may turn into more of a naturally landscaped area, but it will be a separation between the curb and the sidewalk. It will give you that distance in between and the same aesthetics essentially that you have, but it will be more water efficient than it currently is. This area, right up here on the curb, we had proposed to put in a few picnic tables and benches along the open space. One of the things that did come up is the question was, hey, all these people are going to have to cross town to get their mail every day. We're going to send them down 3rd Street to get mail every day. And we have met with the post office, talked to them about the opportunity to put gang mailboxes on the property. We have one proposed over here. We have one up here, and a third one right over here in the corner. So those gang mailboxes, and the intent would be to put a mailbox out there that has a structure over it, posts on the side, a small roof to keep it, two things. We want to keep it lit so that the mailboxes are well exposed and not hidden. They're not in a dark area where we run into issues, and keep the rain off them. So,
Have you spoken with the post office in case people do want to go to the post office? Do they have availability of boxes and so forth, or would they expand?
Good
I
question.
didn't ask that question.
Good
I
question.
did. I asked the postmistress just the other day, and she said, I told her the proposed project of 85 homes, she said, yeah, we should have enough.
And the reason I'm asking is that has become a community center. Those of us who meet
It's a
there,
very
it's a
social-
great place to meet everybody you need to see.
Yeah. No,
So-
I agree.
You're calling them gang mailboxes?
They're a gang mailbox.
Group?
I thought they were communal
I thought it was,
Community, they're community, they call them community
Yeah,
postal
we had them in
mailboxes.
Salinas.
it says group mailbox.
Yeah.
And I think the theory there, we met with the postmaster, is that they do mail delivery out to earthbound and out to north, and they're going out there. And rather than have them drive through town and then go to the post office, they could have their mail delivered into these community things, and they could get it there. They still have the opportunity to get a post office at the postal office building there.
Yes, and the entrance over on 3rd Street here, as you're coming down 3rd Street, right at the corner of Donner, you have the small gazebo and the small open space. Staff had asked us if we would consider putting a bus stop in right adjacent to it, which is what this is right over in the corner. So we have a school bus stop. Roger, was there anything else that you wanted to
Pretty
point
much
out?
covered it, yeah.
And white on their decomposed granite, which is along Street E,
Yes.
why is that separate there? You see
Along-
along
right
along the 4 properties there? You got
Along the
four units, and then it goes into the, I guess, a little park
Yeah,
there.
because that is an open space, a native tree type area.
Yeah, so that was like another entrance to that, or?
It is, it's an entrance over
Uh-huh.
to it. There'll probably also be one on the far end there, up by Donner Street. But again, this open space is respecting the Creek Bridge neighborhood back behind it, keeping houses out away from it.
And this whole project here is gonna be on pumping stations, I guess, huh?
There will be a pumping station. I might ask Ann, are we pumping from?
The whole, the whole place is gonna be pumped, right?
Yeah, there will be one lift station that will lift it back into the sewer treatment plant. And where that's located is up to Ann to make sure that everything will be gravity fed to that lift station, then it will be lifted to the sewer treatment plant.
Because you, on their subdivision, there's a pump station there too with a
Yes.
detention pond, right?
Yeah.
And you gotta
Right
combine
around
that
this
to one
corner.
We're going to look hard at trying to consolidate.
and save city money.
Yeah.
Before we leave the whole idea, 3rd Street, it was suggested in the 1965 general plan that 3rd Street extend through this property and go on out to San Juan, a highway there.
Yeah,
So this is not a new idea.
This is a plan that you're going back into the, well, in that general plan, this property was reserved residential, I think it was called, back in the 60s.
Yes.
Yeah, but that connection has been planned for a long time.
Mr. Barrett.
Yes, he was.
Well, I appreciate you letting me present our thoughts and our ideas tonight, and I'm open to suggestions that you may have. We'd like to come back to you very soon and solidify this and put it in front of you as a tentative map to be adopted. So I'm open to hearing thoughts that you or the general public has.
I have a question that maybe, I don't know to whom to direct it, but if the D'Ambrosio project doesn't materialize, what are we going to do about 3rd Street? We cannot allow this project to go through without widening 3rd Street.
Yeah.
You're referring to the portion of 3rd Street right here along
Well,
D'Ambrosio?
it's beyond D'Ambrosio.
Was it part of the
Like
corner of
north, yeah.
Corner north and Donner?
That section that
Yeah.
should have been widened and never got
Yeah.
widened.
It's something we have to deal with.
Yeah. That's something we'll have to deal with.
Maybe we'll have to have a tunnel.
I know that I've been talking with the D'Ambrosios and they have been entertaining several developers that are going to take their areas over. They're in the sausage business and they're not in the subdivision
Oh.
business.
And I do talk to them every now and then to see if they have plans on going forward or someone going forward, because obviously we want this neighborhood to work well within the city, and it's going to
Yeah.
require cooperation
Yeah.
and timing with them.
Yeah.
So I do agree with that.
Good.
I'm happy to hear you're concerned about that neighborhood, because people on the end of 3rd Street have been putting up until recently, until D'Ambrosio cleared that property. They lived in a situation with a lot of problems right next door, and so I appreciate what you're suggesting, that we make sure that 3rd Street people are considered in all of this.
Yeah.
If we have another workshop, I really would like to see more of the public, more of, not just the Creek Bridge folks, but, I mean, everybody, of course, is welcome to come, but how do we publicize it better?
Well, one of the suggestions is that we have storyboards like these that we leave up here, and some information in general for anyone that wants to pick them up and to take a look at.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'll have those particular boards. I may leave these up for the next few days and then get something a little smaller for them to look at. But, yeah.
Because they have them down at the library.
Yeah?
Be one place to put them.
That's,
Yeah, public question?
Oh.
True. Yeah.
Don't forget the local paper.
Right outside the post office is that big wall, and I've used it for blood donor posters and stuff like that, but I think that would be put plastic on them, have them taped up there, and it'd be very difficult to say I'd never heard of it when you come right out of it, and it's not on the back side, it's in front of you.
maybe we'll get a copy that's a little smaller, laminated, and something that we can put up there.
Yeah, you might want to take a look at that before you go home, just to get the idea.
And we do have a local paper.
It's coming out.
Okay, a lot of
Can
questions.
we have some, why don't you have a seat and we'll see if we get some public input for you. Mr. Ponce, you want to come up? That way we can get you immortalized on TV here. And
Anyway, I think it's a great project. The San Juan merchants are meeting tomorrow evening, and I've invited this team to make a presentation.
Oh, great.
That's
And
good.
they've accepted, and I think that's one way to get information.
Yeah.
thank you.
There's a
That's
question asked back here, how long is this fitness trail? Is it a mile, half mile, anybody have any?
Well, it's only what we're, for us, it's only what's
Yeah, what you see
within the
there.
property.
Probably about a mile of this or something?
I don't think it's a mile.
Well, you can keep going back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't stop.
But I can only walk so far.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Mr. Grissom?
Yeah, thank you. I have gone back and forth in this project. I'd like to say, just for the record, I'm for it. So The biggest concern I have, and Bob and I have spoken, I've said it many times, is the 3rd Street and widening it. That obviously is going to have to happen, and lighting and improvements on that in order for the extra traffic. But, you know, looking at this, and I understand it's kind of proposal, and there are a few things might change here and there, but I love it. So.
And this spoken by someone who lives very close to it.
I live within 300-400 feet of that.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's, you know, it'd be nice to have it all open land, but, you know, you got to make progress. And, no, it looks nice, I think, given the drawings, and if it's similar to Creek Bridge and the homes over there, which are gorgeous, you know, it looks like a really nice project, and kind of looking forward to it right now. So,
Thank you.
as far as getting the community in that area involved, I mean, suggestions I have is I get out and talk to everybody. I mean, for some reason, people stop me when I'm changing oil or doing whatever. And I've had a lot of inquiries about this, and I keep on trying to tell people, you got to show up at these meetings. So the people who want to show up are going to show up. The people who don't want to show up because they don't think they're going to have any influence on it, I think they're sadly mistaken.
Yeah.
And I'll state that for the record,
Yeah,
too.
just keep emphasizing that the project may go forward, but they can help be a part of what it becomes. Their voice will be heard. It's often heard in
Yeah,
the
I mean,
design.
you're right, and you know, this is more of a general statement, but if people aren't going to get involved in this, then don't complain about it later.
Yeah.
You
They're not
might,
part of the solution, they're part
you
of the
might tell
problem.
your friends and associates that CMAP has all this on tape, so they could see this whole presentation just by pulling up their computers or watch it on. I guess you're on cable? You're on cable.
But the staff now has it on the city's webpage.
It's on the city's webpage, yeah, it gets streamed as well.
Videos on the web as well.
There you go.
Yeah. In fact, I want to add that the agendas are now posted on the city's webpage too, so.
Yeah, they're more transparent. Instead of clicking the link to open up the PDF, it's actually on on the page, and you can scroll up and down and zoom in and out.
Right there.
So the
We're
city's
taking away all the excuses.
The city's been making great efforts. You know, we'd started, and everybody's been working to make it open, easier to use, user-friendly. And I think, you know, this project, we've been talking about it for a long time. And people wonder, you know, did you get involved? I'm sure the applicants have talked to a lot of people trying to find out what will go in San Juan Bautista. Because for him to come out with, say, a bunch of 10-story buildings out there, spends all his money, and all of a sudden, no way. But by working like he did, coming through piece by piece, we have been exposed to every aspect of this development. And I think because of what everybody brought to the table here, was absorbed by the developers, and their architects, engineers worked accordingly. Because he wants it to fit in the city, because if it doesn't fit in the city, if it's not worth going to, it's not going to sell. And that's the worst thing that happens. So make it basically what does the city want and deliver. And that's, I think, what he's focused on. And I think this is the product of everybody's discussion, everybody's thoughts, and the city's policy. Like I said, we already had the design standards ready. We didn't have to wonder, what are we going to tell them? We knew what we're going to tell anybody. He read that, and there you go. So we were part of the city was part of the program to make it happen. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I agree. I'm Valerie Eglund. It's a lovely, lovely development. What I was wondering about is there seems to be a path through here, the exercise path, and I don't know whether it's coming back through here, it comes around here, and it's just sidewalk here, and then there seems to be an element here that goes back to this natural tree environment.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
And I'm wondering if that is going to be a picnic area back there, or is it a dead end? How can it be brought together to create maybe a round track, something that will enhance the recreational and exercise aspect.
Yeah.
So this was, because it's a beautiful opportunity to create a beautiful exercise area that the whole town, you know, can come in from 3rd Street. I mean, not en masse, of course, but I mean, you know, but something that would connect up with what Roger has talked about in the past of working paths that meander through town and out. So I would...
and the trails.
Yeah.
That go under the bridge.
Also, is there anything that is in this other area? This seems to be kind of a mass of homes without a recreational aspect or tiny, you know, something.
Well,
I don't know, it seems like it should be expanded.
He's got bike trails. He's got.
Yeah, she's talking about the.
This area.
Yeah.
Well, those 2 blocks.
About the Street D area.
Two items. First of all, I really appreciate your comment on the native tree area and path, because I've kind of struggled with what to do there, and I do like the idea that you have of maybe having that path lead to an area that could have picnic tables, or could maybe the design is to put a collection of the exercise equipment, 4 or 5 of them together, and that might be a good place to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like
I like that idea a lot. The blocks, the 2 blocks that you have, there are 12 homes on each side of them, and I looked at that and I said, well, how big is that really? And at my house, when I go jogging, I have 12 houses that I jog by on my final stage to get home. So I said, and this is a size that is functional. It's not, it doesn't feel big, it doesn't look big, but, and if you go out and do that, and if you take a look at it and count out about a dozen homes, it's going to feel a lot smaller than what it looks like on this picture. I'll be willing to bet you. So I did look at that as to the size of it. There is a little connection, and I'll try and point it out for everyone up here, but at the front, right here, from Street B, this is actually a bridge, so you can get back across over to the San Juan Highway by foot or by bicycle. There's a foot or by bicycle. Well, if that creek's real deep, you might be able to get across by foot. But right in this area, there is another access other than the main street to get on out from that side.
Before Ms. Egan leaves the podium, could you explain to us your relationship to the rest of the county and your concern with connecting trails and so forth? You have a position with the county group that's trying to...
I'm your District 2 Parks and Rec Commissioner.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Starting soon. What did they say in the future? There's coming soon to your theaters. Anyway.
To your homes. Yeah, yes.
Karen Grittisell. He took one of them, so I'm not going to discuss that one anymore. I have 2 concerns. I've heard in other meetings that the infrastructure for the waste pond, or whatever you want to call it, it can handle these homes. But my biggest concern is the smell. It can handle it capacity-wise, but what will we be looking at in the form of how to help keep that additional waste smell down? Because we do, in the winter, I don't think we've really smelled it, but more spring, summer, it's really bad. The second thing is, I love the roundabout at 129. We're discussing the roundabout at 3rd there, where there's currently a speed bump with the DeAmbrose project. But when you have these streets here, I get his thing where you walk by 12 homes, it doesn't really look that big, but you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, possibly 6, 7 streets where you have potential of the consistent speeding, or what we're continuing to deal with right now on 3rd Street. And what I've seen in communities is the wider speed bumps, which we have discussed about putting there at 3rd Street as well, the more of a platform speed bump in the community there to kind of help detour any speeding. Because if they're not speeding in their own area, they're not going to then come down 3rd Street and start speeding as well. It's just a thought process, maybe something to take back and put into the planning. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak? Did you want?
No, I want to say I appreciate the comments and thoughts on it, and they are definitely items that we'll talk about. And I would like to put some of these items together on the next formalized map, and we're hoping that this is something we could bring back to you very soon. You know, we've been delayed on a number of meetings for different hiccups in the past, and we're now about 3.5 months behind.
Oh,
I have one more question. In your presentation, when it comes to the homes themselves, could you put a package together to demonstrate the quality of the homes? As far as interiors and so on. Let me tell you why. Because I've had some experiences with the Creek Bridge homeowners where they bought, and I know it's after the building's been built and all that kind of stuff, but they've had problems with leaks and things like that. You know, and molds and that they had to repair because they were new residents or home. They bought the homes after they were originally occupied, you know, that kind of a thing. So, what about the quality of the structure and the interiors and what have you?
Maybe I should have Michael address that on a technical level. But when the house is built, the actual construction company, the builder, has a 10-year time frame on a warranty on that property as far as the structural components go. Bless you. As far as some of the other items within the house, on the inside of a house when you purchase a new home, are warranted under manufacturer type warranties. Some of the items that you're referring to when you have an issue such as mold or one of those things in the early part of ownership of a house could be through construction defect, which should be under the actual builder warranty, which is usually not just the building company, but also an actual warranty company that's behind that. As far as the actual amenities that would go with inside of the house, at this point, I couldn't tell you exactly, or as I couldn't tell you exactly what the exterior architecture would be at this time. I know we'll have to bring it in front of you for design review, for approval on those, as with the landscape plan and all of the other details. So I don't know how to address that other than that.
At this time?
Yeah. But looking forward to putting something in front of you folks that, 5 years down the road, you get to walk through the neighborhood and say,
yeah, we did that.
We did this and it came out great.
Would it be a good idea, instead of letting that 3rd Street go all the way through, and just have all that traffic go out one way? And block that area off right there?
Are you referring to come out, put a bridge over here?
Where you come up to go on 3rd?
Yeah, here?
Yeah, to have all the traffic go up this way and block that whole area off. Don't even use that street up there right there. Come out on 3rd Street.
Force everything out 1st Street.
I think the fire department would take exception to that. You need at least a minimum of 2 egresses.
You have to have 2 ways in on it?
Yeah.
How does the fire department?
I think you see that on Line Street, and it's the one way, and it's a disaster waiting to be happening.
That whole area down there is a real mess.
I have a question. I've been talking with City Manager Grimsley about the inclusionary housing fees and so forth. Being a senior and looking at our needs in San Juan for senior housing, residential type thing where a few people can have their loved ones helped through their medical problems, perhaps some of those inclusionary fees can be used, if not on your site, to help facilitate that kind of a building. Maybe some other place in town would be just as good. I would like to explore some of those thoughts with you about what can this new project do to help one of our really severe needs here in town, to have some medical help right here on a daily basis.
On the medical side of it, I'm not sure how to address that, but let me talk a little bit about the affordable portion of the project. Including affordable units in it would have put us into a category that qualifies for a density bonus, which puts you back into more units, which puts you back into a project which isn't really what we think San Juan Bautista would want to see and would care for. So we have, in our contribution, in looking at that, we've said $2,000 per unit. 170,000 of that was a contribution toward, instead of making it toward strictly affordable housing, as you mentioned, maybe some money that should be used toward some sort of a medical facility or in another portion of town. But it gives those funds directly to the city to allow the town to decide how to spend them and not have to do it strictly within that affordable portion of the project. And then we don't get into asking and looking for more density, making smaller units, and impacting what we think is the neighborhood that you want to see. So
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, commissioners? Any from the public?
Just one more thing. Regarding the cul-de-sac that's right at the beginning of Street A. Is there any way you could eliminate that cul-de-sac?
At Street A.
Street A and the San Juan Highway?
Oh, the one up there that's, I think it's Street B, right up the very front.
Street B, I'm sorry. Where did I get Street A?
Eliminate the cul-de-sac?
Well, if you had it open, then you'd have, there's not a lot of ingress and egress in here.
The
Or just
challenge
come out
to,
on the road with it.
yeah, the challenge to that is that would require another bridge, either over the drainage channel here
Oh.
or the drainage channel along
yeah.
here.
Yeah, that's where the creek's
Yeah.
at.
Big fish and game issue.
Yeah, yeah.
We had talked about, I think, developing a pedestrian bridge that could go across.
Well, yes, and that is this bridge that exists right here.
Right.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, with that, I would, again, I'm hoping that you would be open to considering holding another planning commission meeting later in this month for us to bring that map back, so we could be back on track with the, getting the tentative map, development agreement, and we also have a rezoning that will go along with that, and we could get it back in front of the council.
Like a special meeting of the commission.
If we could, yes.
That would be just for this project, and we could maybe draw more of the community.
Yeah, make an effort, a special effort on, because even if you did this again, at a, again, a good advertising, I just want to make sure that nobody can say, I never heard of it, where'd they come from?
I will get those boards up in the next few days.
Okay. Excuse me.
At a conference that Trish and I attended in December, we met a lot of other city clerks and, talked about like how they advertise their meetings and stuff like that. There are a lot of other towns that do town hall meetings, so I don't know if that's something that we should consider to bring that up and then maybe arrange something at the community center. I know that in the past there were probably some town hall meetings. I don't know if anybody remembers those, but I have come across a few documents, just combing through a lot of the old documents on the website for town hall meetings. So I would think that this would be a good way to put it out there, just advertise a town hall meeting and have Bob here do a presentation there.
And it would be a special meeting of the commission at the same time.
Yeah, it's just part of like government transparency and stuff, and just kind of putting it out there more. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
What's your thought on that?
Are we talking about doing that on the 22nd?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all part of it, right?
As a town hall meeting, as
Yeah.
opposed to just a small,
Well, we'd be there too.
it's a special meeting.
We're talking January 22nd, is that?
In January.
Thursday?
Is, I don't know what's going on.
Special meeting.
Are we having a special meeting?
Oh, we're
what I-
talking
We're
about
just
it.
talking about it
If
now.
we have a special meeting, the two of you aren't even going to be able
Oh,
to
that's-
vote, so we have to see if the three of us are available on that date.
I forget that.
That's even better, yeah. There's only 3? No.
There's only 3 of us who can vote. The general public needs to know that.
We're out of town for a week.
And I'm happy to hear their comments, but we won't be able to hear them next time.
No, well,
So-
I appreciate them being able to make them.
So should I make all my comments today? For or against?
But the meeting date needs to coincide, if we want action, needs to coincide with our
Yeah.
time schedule.
I'm good on the 22nd,
Is it 22nd is what day of the week?
Thursday.
Thursday, the 22nd?
Tell you what, I will call tomorrow to confirm. I will call your office tomorrow to confirm, or I'll call, who's handling the agenda? Okay, I'll call you tomorrow to confirm the 22nd, because I got to watch for doctor's appointments and conflicts.
Can I ask a quick clarification point? The two commissioners who have to
Recuse?
recuse themselves, are they allowed to give their public comment on it?
Sure.
They are, okay.
Yeah.
I figured as much.
Well, at
Yeah.
this time,
just
at
can't-
this
I can
time,
write
no action.
letters, I
It's
can-
not set up for action, it's a
Right.
discussion.
No,
But
I
as
have-
soon as we have a public hearing on it, that's where action can be made. They can't even be, well, Where I
But
come
they
from-
they can stand here and,
We can try to influence the action.
right, okay.
where I came from,
By law.
you had to leave the room.
Huh? I'm sorry?
Where I came from, you had to leave the room.
Stay there.
When there's an action being made,
Yeah,
Yeah.
when there's a
Yeah.
recusal.
only.
This way, there's no way anybody can say,
Yeah.
well, they're just signaling in the back. No. Good? Okay, so, supposed to be on the 22nd?
You can,
We could come. Well, are you actually going to vote? Is it a public hearing? Is it a?
Going to have to be.
he's requesting action at the next special meeting.
We've supported this program, from the law so far. I just like to keep them on schedule,
Yeah,
because
there's
as soon as that thing gets built, sooner the city benefits from it.
The seniors as well.
Seniors as well. Okay, 22nd? 22nd? 22nd.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think this was a real good way of doing it. No action, but a good presentation and opportunity for comment. And like we were talking, I'm sorry more people weren't here, but they got civil rights too. If they don't want to come by and rather watch Charlie's Angels, okay, guys, have a good time. Okay, folks, thanks a lot on that one. Let's go to the next one. Okay, we have a, state law says that you have to give notice of certain items coming up. And the only exceptions are if something came at the last minute that you had no chance to deal with and you'd like to work with it, that commission can vote to put it on an agenda for discussion. And we have an item that we would like to discuss. I'll have staff tell you about it first to explain it before we vote to put it on the agenda. Can you tell us what we're going to be? Just give us a brief overview so we can decide to put it on the agenda and we'll vote on it.
I don't know. Dave, what's your last name? Mr. Nichols came a few months back and got approval from you folks about doing the recycling center located by, what's his market? Neil's Market. And you approved it. And then recently, he came to us with an application for a couple of freestanding signs that he says the state requires him to have out during his hours of operation. And in light of our new sign ordinance, they happen to be A-frame signs. And it's a sort of a weird issue because it's a mobile property, not, it can't be within 15 feet of a doorway because there's a doorway. And so we weren't sure exactly what guidance to give him on this and thought it might be more suitable for you folks to review it as far as what would be allowed, what wouldn't be allowed, and where he might be able to put these things to meet state requirements and also meet city requirements. And then there's an issue with the fee associated with those A-frame signs as well. So.
Okay, that's enough for us to talk. Now, commissioners.
Just to let you know, each day it's recycling, he removes everything from that cycling. So it's mobile, but I don't think you understood the word mobile. Set up business, and in the end of the day.
He takes the business with him?
Will you put your mic
So
on?
it's not something that's going to be
And I gave you pictures of what they're going to look like.
Now,
There's
the
two.
fact that it came in at the last minute, and it seems to be a pretty critical to stuff we've been talking about, we have the option to vote to talk about it or to let it pass for another meeting. You'd like to talk about it tonight, or do you want to put it on the next agenda?
I'd like to talk about it tonight.
I don't see why we couldn't talk about it tonight.
Commissioner Medeiros?
Well, let's talk about it tonight.
Okay. So, do we need a roll call vote on that to add it to the agenda?
Commissioner Guibert?
Aye.
Commissioner Duarte?
Yes.
Commissioner Garrett?
Aye.
Commissioner Medeiros?
Aye.
Commissioner Franco?
Aye.
All members of the commission being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Okay, the presentation?
Want to come up and tell them about it?
Ball's in your court. This is a special thing we don't do every day.
Thank you. David
He's sat
San
through
Juan. The state just requires me to have a couple of, open sign that's visible from a distance, and I can't, they require it to be a special size, 573 square inches, and to be visible from either direction. And I have to have a price sign, so when you drive in, it's just like the prices right there where we, collect our recyclables and stuff. And during the day when I'm down, I just fold it up and go home. But that's just a requirement from the state, which I can't control that.
What's your hours of operation?
It's going to be Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 9 to 6, 3 days, and then Sunday's going to be from 10 to 5.
Okay, so the issue is that now, under the existing ordinance, where does he stand in terms of putting up A-frames? That, under the existing ordinance, where does he come up with?
Yeah.
No.
No, not
Existing?
No, the proposed is prohibited. Existing?
The existing.
But it was prohibited there too.
What?
It was prohibited in the old ordinance.
What is
too.
prohibited?
A-frames.
And A, no.
No, they're not.
Matthew Sons took them out, or prohibited them.
Matthew's son put them in. The old ordinance allows A-frames.
Yeah.
Right, within
Certain
15
kind,
feet.
certain descriptions, so
Within
forth and so
15
on.
feet of the entrance, business entrance.
These are all going to be professionally made signs, nothing homemade or anything like that. I got them all printed out by professional frame shop and stuff.
What happens is, it's a good use. State requires it, and then they come up with regulations that may be in conflict with local agencies.
If it's a state-required sign, shouldn't we treat it the same way that we have to treat the price and
Gas station?
signs at gas stations? That it's required, we need to have it, and they tell us when and where and what size.
And we want the service.
And we need the service, we've been encouraging the service, and this is just a bump in the road, isn't it?
Right.
I'd like to open day after tomorrow, that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
Now, let's see, how much business in tonnage, or how many pounds? Is it really, do people really use your facility? Let's put it that way.
I'm sure they would. I've talked to a lot of people and saying.
Oh, you haven't done this yet?
No,
Oh.
I'd like to open day after
Oh,
tomorrow.
okay, and I thought you had a track on this thing.
No.
And then found out.
Day after tomorrow is our planned opening date.
So where exactly, you're at Neil's Market,
Yes, ma'am.
but there's a clothing recycling thing here, or somewhere here.
That's it,
Yeah, it's
isn't it?
kind of right on the corner there.
And you're further down
In a
San
little
Antonio?
triangular area right there.
Okay.
In back of it there.
That clothing thing was supposed to come before us, and it just happened out there, isn't that right?
Yeah, it just
He's gotta be
appeared.
where Angulo had its recycling place right there.
Oh.
Yes.
Next to Neil's.
Oh.
It's going to be a little, set up a
Yeah,
little
same
better.
location.
What do you
So-
got there?
So don't we have doesn't he have two ways to go here? We have an old ordinance, it hasn't been, the new one hasn't even been read yet.
We have one ordinance.
We have we have one ordinance.
That's it.
And under that, an A-frame is allowed under certain conditions that staff can review. And then when the new ordinance goes in, it becomes non-conforming and so forth and so on. Isn't
And
it?
then we would make sure that
And
it
then-
complies with state law, and that's,
And we have the state law, gas station model. I can't see any reason to deny his use of a
pull out the state law, the section that requires that, and then give that to staff so they have it.
Okay.
And write it on the sign.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Are you going to have room up front there to show both sides, both ways?
Yes, yes.
Uh-huh.
But please make it clear that that's what, the state has required this, and it's
Yeah, it's
approved
right
by
No, we
our
don't-
action on a certain
They didn't
date.
have to put it on that.
Oh, because it doesn't require
No, we
planning
just had-
commission approval because it, A-frame signs comes from the staff.
It's all right here in their handbook.
Okay, now, Roger, are there sign applications needed for this?
Yeah, you'd have to come in and need to make an application for a sign.
That complies with state law? And I guess it does comply with the city then? Because the ordinance has gone up. Sure, we want everybody to comply, but if anything happens and they send it back or they choose not to adopt it, it's unlikely, but we can't predict it, so the existing ordinance is what we'll have to work with.
The other issue with this was the fee associated with that sign permit is $300 a sign. And I don't think we've ever charged anyone for any of the A-frames downtown.
Oh, I thought the ski fees got...
For freestanding signs, there's a $300 fee for each one. So
And
this
you kept that
But an
fee?
A-frame sign, I think we lowered it to 35.
Why, we just need to make sure, because what
Okay.
Michelle initially quoted him, it was $600, and he went, whoa.
Yeah, we have no control over the signs, that's an ordinance.
Okay.
I thought the fees were all lowered.
Much lower, yeah.
Yeah,
We had
almost nothing.
$35 and $75 from 300.
Yeah.
Right.
That was
So
totally
I-
unreasonable.
Probably Michelle didn't know that the fee structure that this commission adopted yet.
When is this council going to work on another review of the fee schedule?
The fees, yeah.
Now, when will they do it again?
We could initiate it here and then make a recommendation to the council. That's the way to do it. Let me get together and then we'll go through everything that we've modified since then and bring it back to you.
Yeah, I think that one should be consistent, with the other, well, what was it ever higher than 300 or?
Oh, yeah, there was some that went up to 500 for a sign permit.
Yeah.
You know, when I took over.
So 300 is less than what it used to be?
Yeah,
And that was the fee, not all the charges that were sent on.
that was spin off of that, yeah, that was.
Wow.
No wonder people didn't apply for the sign permits.
The new fees, it was a fee, and that was for issuing a permit and going out and inspecting it. There was no other residual component to it.
I don't think fees should scare people off.
Yeah. I found some old stuff there where a fee was issued and it was tripled by the time it finished.
Exactly.
Well, I think what you do is come up with a reasonable
Trees.
cost, and we can come up with a recommendation.
Do you want some water? Georgiana, want some water?
No, I got it, I think.
What can we do here? Okay, we've resolved item number 1. He can put the signs up as required by the state law and still be in compliance with the city's ordinance. Okay. You ought to build a state for 'em.
Excuse me?
You ought to build a state for them. They want them up? Say, hey, guys.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I think we give the direction that he can come tomorrow and fill out a sign permit and everything and we'll go over the fees. I don't think it's $300.
I don't think so either.
Because we've issued permits in the past for 35 and 75, I think, for the two fees. We loaded.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that one.
Okay, you'll be working with staff. I mean,
Okay.
the folks, they worked with us on signs and whatnot, and they're very familiar with it. And if it requires we come back for a meeting or something like that, do what we have to do. But good luck on opening your business and
Thank you.
it works out.
I hope you all come in and bring your recyclables in.
Do that.
So this is actually,
In fact, you may want to state publicly everything so that it can be on schedule, so when people are watching the cable or in the...
Yeah, it's, we're opening.
No, just explain it to who you are and what it is.
For the kids recycling, and we're gonna be opening the day after tomorrow at Mills Market, 54 Muffolemi Street. So, we'll be taking recyclables, it'll be aluminum cans, glass bottles, beer bottles and such, plastic bottles, drinking water, stuff like that. And you get paid to bring them in. You get paid to bring them in. So that's it.
Okay. Little plug, never hurt anybody? Okay, next item. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have discussion items now. I guess staff will take most of them. First one is wayfinding.
So Mary Paxton has circulated this document again. They did their tour without me because I didn't have a car that day. I went through and made lots of comments, only a few of which pertain to San Juan Bautista. One of them was that the one logo that we gave them was the city seal, which is not very visible from a distance. And both this and the other comment go back to our branding discussion, which is that we need to work on our branding so that we can have the right things on the signs. So we need to work on a new symbol or something. And then also the sign that Matt mocked up is sort of a replica of the California landmark sign, the historic landmark.
Oh, yeah.
And we're not a landmark, so we need to amend that. So I need to look into where Matt has this saved, the other Matt. I'm not talking about myself in the third person. And they said that you could really just move the bear and the stars and modify the shape of the sign a little bit and it'd be good, and remove the historic landmarks. So
We have the logo of the mission, or the bell tower or something.
we have some things. I think you worked on some of them, right?
Yeah.
But we haven't
Would that
finalized
work?
any of it.
Would
We
that
need
work
to-
in place of the bear?
The bear. What?
I think the bear just has to be in a different location. I think we can keep the bear, but
Because I mean, because like I was down in Riverside, and they have their what is it? There's a cross there.
No. Never mind.
Mission Inn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have what's the name of the cross? And it was a symbol of the hotel, and the city came by and said, "Can we use it?" And it's now the city is using the same logo.
I developed that one on the hats, but I took the cross out of it only because of government and religion. So I did the silhouette of the mission, but eliminated the cross.
Those are nice hats.
Yeah.
Now, this wasn't so much a cross as the fact it was a raining cross. It was a rain cross. It's something special to the Native Americans down there, and it got picked up, and I'll send you a picture. I was impressed by it.
So we just need to determine a time to work on that stuff. I'm swamped right now with editing I just finished the background report, put 2 solid days now on reformatting the entire general plan. And then I have the EIR first draft sitting on my chair. And then there's another thing too sitting after that. Oh, the notice of funding availability just came out. Yeah, the CDBG funding thing came out. So that's a huge one that I want to get started on, but yeah.
So, our plate's going to be full for a while.
Then we should watch what we put on the agenda. Like I say, you got enough stuff in the background. And, the special meeting it was a special situation. But we got to give you guys time to crank this. Yeah, I'd rather than just put out a lot of stuff, I'd rather know that you'd be able to spend the time to do the right job rather than just say, crank it off and we'll correct it at the meeting. Yeah. Okay.
So I'll see what I can do this. I'll be done with that general plan in the next 2 days, probably 2 days from now.
I'm not pushing on this. I just thought I'd send you the copy because it's...
But send me ideas, definitely.
Something to look at.
Okay.
Okay, next one is plan lines.
Okay, just real quick, you recall back in a year and a half ago, we broached this issue here at plan lines. We identified several of them that we were going through, and you can pass this out to Dave. And that was one of them that we were aggressively going after, and we're pursuing that. The other one was a pedestrian walkway from Green Road all the way into the end of Nyland Road, to there. And there are a lot of other issues here, and I identified the ones that were on the original staff report, the 10, and then I just picked out several more that I thought that we should consider. These are food for thought. The staff is progressing on the Lang Street and the green pedestrian walkway, and those are the 2 that we're concentrate on now, but we need your input and direction to say any other ones that you'd like us to concentrate on in the near future, where we can start to develop plan lines and then bring it back and hold the public hearings, adopt the lines, and then go and record the maps at the county recorder's office. And it basically serves notice to preserve the right of way. I think all of the emphasis that I've put in here is that we've got to be very proactive to start preserving walkways, streamways, pedestrian accesses, as well as streets and roads, so that we can be a complete street, complete community.
Yeah, the plan line would keep anybody, would prevent anybody from getting a building permit to put a house in the middle of the right of way.
Did they put a well right in the middle of your road here?
And fortunately, they went down and they found nothing but bedrock, and so they had to abandon it.
So they've gone now?
It was, I think it was an intentional maneuver on their part.
And that's not San Juan Canyon on this map. It's Salinas Road.
It's Salinas Road, yeah. I use it Salinas Grade Road.
Right. Yes.
And then San Juan Canyon is right at the fork of Mission Vineyard.
So that can be corrected.
Right.
The other side is San Juan Grade Road, so Salinas Grade Road.
Well,
Depends on what side of the hill you're on.
anyway, let's get it corrected
And
for those
incidentally,
neighbors.
That's one that I have not put on there. I don't know if I referred to it, is that section from the Salinas, from the San Juan Hollister Road and the Alameda, and then it begins the San Juan Grade Road, Between there and Mission Vineyard Road, I've done some plan line sketching to make that a 94-foot boulevard with a planter strip in the middle and lanes that go up to the canyon, and then there will be a roundabout at the intersection of the San Juan Canyon, Mission Vineyard, Salinas Grade Road, and a roundabout at the Alameda. And then that'll be a boulevard standard.
It's crazy right now.
Create a nice atmosphere going up.
You mean just straight into that, huh? Into the, where it forks off?
Yeah, and then...
Instead of it curves in and all that kind of stuff?
That'd be a big roundabout.
Yeah.
Head up to San Juan
Yeah.
Canyon, Sweet Street.
And retreat, whatever, yeah. And then coming back.
Some concepts, and when I finish doing it, I'll bring it back to you and show it. Because right now, that section between Mission Vineyard Road and the Alameda is very narrow and
bumpy
and impassable, and we wanted to widen it to make it more of a boulevard standard that lead to the canyon.
Because some of us are thinking that whole area out there ought to be saved under some kind of ag preserve, so that we can keep seeing all those actual green crops growing in prime ag land in perpetuity.
And when you say putting in a boulevard through there, and any of the residents there are going to be impacted by, as far as structure, that's existing structure?
It's all open land on both sides, and there's no structures involved in my plan. And the old Gyorzi is set back over there, and it won't even be affected.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then we'll bring it to you, and it's a concept where it's really changing the dynamics of the entrance to the San Juan Canyon.
Yeah.
Okay. It's good planning.
And then there should be, what about the road that's going into the Anzar Trail? The Anza Trail?
That's part of it, yeah.
That's all going to be part of it, huh? Huh.
It's an interesting road.
And about, where's the name of that little park that was there? We can't forget about that park.
Oh,
that's up the canyon.
The
That's
pool,
up farther.
the springs?
What is it?
The springs?
Yeah,
You're
the
talking
spring.
about the spring.
Yeah.
But that's up in the canyon, actually.
Yeah.
Beyond,
you're talking about old Ideals Park was up there.
beyond a whole lot of really archaeological sites.
Yeah.
And that whole area has been the basis of a study that the city did, and I'm sure hoping somebody can find all that documentation that happened way back when Dan DeFries was the chair of the Planning Commission, and that whole area was being studied for a cultural center.
Oh, wow.
Is that the, no, South San
and
Real
the cement property, and
Yeah.
all that whole area was studied
Yeah, wow.
under the direction of, I believe it was, the motion was made by Priscilla Hill. Go ahead with it. So where that document is, I don't know.
Wow. Well, anyway, that's something we need to,
And you'll see on my other ones, item C
Yeah.
of my edit there, that parkway and pedestrian easement from the Younger Trail to the San Juan Canyon Road. Or one of the parkway and pedestrian easement from the San Juan Canyon Road to San Juan Creek and along the San Juan Creek to Mission Vineyard Road.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll figure out what Caltran has in mind at the end of Mission Vineyard.
Yeah.
So, recommendation is to, on this particular subject,
We're proceeding on the Lang Street and
Yeah.
pedestrian from Brain to Nyland, only because those are critical issues, because the state is doing some modification down there, Brain Road, and we want to make sure that it fits with that.
When we see maps of the area we just dealt with today, the 11.97 acres, could, next time we have anything to do with that end of town, over by your end, Dave, let's show San Juan Creek on the maps. That would be the final extension of it out to the city limit and to the north, if we could get a picture of how the creek comes from the canyon out. How a pathway might be made.
And of course, that whole area along that creek is floodplain from the bottom of the shelf behind Dave's all the way out to Kay Kamamoto's place and Dale Coke's.
yeah.
And to allow, so it doesn't it? Does the creek go through?
Okay. General Plan EIR update. Oh, perfect timing.
EIO.
So as I said before, I got draft 4 of the background report and general plan toward the end of, well, in December. And then I asked them to have a rough draft of Chapter 4, which is the beefy section of the EIR, for me before Christmas. And so I got this, which is a couple hundred pages. And they want to have a meeting on this in March, I believe. So that's next on my agenda. But I want to be able to have...
No line numbers.
No line numbers, no. That's one thing I'm going to try to put in this when I'm done editing it, but I want to make sure all the content's right first. It wasn't set up properly with the headings and stuff, so you couldn't automatically compute table of contents, and that's really important with editing. And plus, I wanted to get the style just right so that I could show them this when they're doing the final of that and make it match, so I don't have to go back and make the changes again. So I'm about 200 pages through the 340 of this, which is why I said I'll be done in the next 2 days. And then we'll set up a meeting, public meeting for the public to review the background report and the general plan. And in the meantime, I'll get started on taking my first look at that. So that's where we are right now.
Addressing and a lot of work is gone in. A lot of work. That's an outstanding job of re-editing and restructuring it. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I wasn't on the editing team for the final version of this, so it would have been set up better the first time around if I was. But yeah, because this is going to be a document that's going to be on our website and people are going to be using it for the next 15 years, I want it to be really tight as far as, being user-friendly and being aesthetically pleasing and everything else. So, plus I was a literature major, I'm a picky editor, so.
No, I think one thing about being students, they haven't lived enough to see where these end products go. And but like I say, the final editing, for user-friendliness, you have to have done it to really.
Well, it helps to have one person too. When it's an editing team and you're also getting submissions from 17 different people, it gets a little disorganized when it comes to putting together one thing with all the formatting being the same. So I understand why it happened, and it's not hard to fix. It's just time consuming to fix. Yeah. So, but like I said, I'll be done with it this week, and then it'll be easy to make changes from there out, and yeah, we'll be good to go.
Does Roger let you go home at night?
Right. Yeah.
He doesn't start as early as I do. He works much later.
But when's the other Matt coming back to get it to work?
Next month.
He's in
maybe.
Malaysia now.
Oh.
During Malaysia. He was in Yemen.
Wow.
Wow. Wow, it's gone by fast.
Just when you finish.
Okay, so that gives us down to, is that all you want to add? You want any, that's it?
That's it for now. Like I said, I'll have more to report once I finish that and we pick a meeting date, because that'll be a fun public meeting to get everybody's comments on the newest edition of everything. So
I just didn't want to cut you off.
yeah.
Okay, the Strategic Planning Committee report, and we have our own representative.
Yes, we did meet last September the 9th.
September?
December the 9th, I'm sorry. Yeah, there was 10 of us in the committee members, which was enough for a quorum. We also had several visitors from the town and outside of town too as well. I don't have names of who were there, but the main discussion, public comments on the agenda, we had a farmers market discussion. And there was also a presentation, the farmers market report that was done for the city of San Juan Bautista that was reviewed that evening. We're looking into that for our next meeting agenda to talk more about farmers market here within San Juan Bautista as far as past successes. And
is this going to be a certified farmers market? Or?
Yes, eventually.
The gentleman who initially asked me about this, sorry, I don't want to jump
That's okay.
in, but
No.
it's something that
You
came
were there.
through me, but
Yeah.
I kind of hijacked a gentleman that was on a thread, one of Dan DeVries' Facebook threads, because he was very interested in about a farmer's market, and I just sent him a message saying, hey, if you're really interested in doing that, this is a city thing, not a county thing. Like, let's talk about it. So I mentioned to him that Kelsey Day, one of the other graduate students, had done that farmer's market study for the city as her final project, and I sent it to him, and he got really excited, and he talked about both either doing a festival and or a farmer's market, like an organics festival. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it to that last meeting, so we talked about it amongst ourselves, and then I sent out copies of that report to all the Strategic Planning Committee members so they can review it. And then hopefully at this next meeting, he'll show up and we can hear what his ideas are as far as putting something like this on.
I was curious as I read it, what the remarks of Jim Gibson, who is the windmill market, would be. He really understands marketing, and I just wonder, as competition or as a complement to what he's doing, what his remarks might be.
That'd be interesting.
Now, we're talking about something like on the base of what they do in Hollister during the summer?
I don't know what they do in Hollister.
Yeah.
They take 5th Street, one whole block of it, both sides. And it's very intense. I mean, there's a lot in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of options. I mean, it could be one of those street fairs downtown, like a one-time thing where we close it off. They come in and get their permit to do it, and they do an organics fair, or a specific day of the week and time, and it's a recurring event where you actually set up things with all the vendors. And this guy, he's the produce manager at Costco in Hollister, I believe. Or no, Gilroy, you said? Gilroy. So yeah, like I said, I really want to hear his ideas on
The fact that you're talking about having, what's the Organics Festival or something? We are the leading county in the state, if not beyond. And I think this is like ground zero for something like that.
Yeah, with Earthbound sitting right out here, so we're leading ground. Unfortunately, like farmer's market, it takes a long time to build those up, and you have to have staying power, and then once it gets going, it's...
Yeah, they tried a couple in the past here, in the last 8 years.
You need a market.
They just didn't go.
Yeah.
You have to stick with it for a long time.
Critical mass.
Then it grows legs.
Okay. Commissioner. Okay. Sorry to interrupt in the middle.
That's all right. No, that was well done, I might add. We also, the discussion on definition of a historic district is going to be a topic for next meeting. And
that one individual, if he comes.
Right. Art and Culture, Recreation, Wellness Subcommittee also reported, Jennifer Colby reported that the work on the school district multi-use park is in progress. A letter has been sent to Sacramento by the school board, and they are waiting for future responses. I believe that's on Native American, I think something to do with getting permission for later Native American response or something like that, and what we can do with that area, which is the school property.
Yes, and
And a
farther
park,
down
yeah.
on the other end.
And anyway, also they are working with a Mission Church, the state park, on a master plan for a park at some point that include a lot of information and interpretation regarding local Native Americans and what have you. Government and Communications Subcommittee talked about the Office of Emergency Services for the county, I believe it was. Department led by Kevin O'Neill. Kevin spoke extensively to the subcommittee last month. Emergency plans are being revised by Kevin in his office. San Juan Bautista will be included in all the plans. In other words, certification and training will also be available, made available who wants to participate in. The new Youth Commission is going before, I believe, the City Council next week.
What is that all about?
I think it already came before the City Council, right?
No, what's it all about?
What is it all about?
Youth Commission.
You want to know what that's all about? Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Apparently, what we've done is getting with our local community schools, and that would be the high school. I think ages from 8 or 12 to 18 or something like that. 12 to 18. Getting together, and they'll be interviewed for candidates to be part of the planning, not part of the city government eventually in the future as they participate as an academic function within the school, be participating in our local community with the city council.
We used the example from Gilroy.
Right.
Shauna Friels was working with them.
Yeah,
in
there's
Gilroy
been
as a city
a whole
clerk.
program put together that I think has gone before the city council and they voted on it. And
Well, I think that was the first reading of it, because it's
Yeah.
going to require an ordinance.
Oh, it's an ordinance that's going
Yeah.
through?
Yeah.
Yep.
For kids to be involved.
And then the Agriculture, Environment, and Land Use Subcommittee met, and Jolene reported that Tony Bach will be presenting San Juan Bautista on COG on Thursday, which is what?
Council of Governments.
Governments, yeah, Thursday, December 18th, and that's gone already. We also, Business Development Tourism Subcommittee did not meet. The Historic San Juan Bautista Plan Subcommittee did not meet. The Youth Subcommittee included government communication discussion. We already talked about that. Vision, mission statements, and subcommittee did not meet. Selection of chairperson for Historic San Juan Bautista Plan Subcommittee, and Vonda has been selected as chairman for that
Well,
committee.
they allowed me to be on the
Yeah.
committee, and now they've named me.
Exactly. And also,
Straight to
yeah,
the
the new
top.
member recommendation for a city will be sent to the city council for appointments, for adding more to the committee or committees. And future agenda, Matt requested the farmers market or organic fair to be added to the next meeting. He will share materials to review with John, who will distribute them to the rest of the group. And next meeting will be on Tuesday, January 13th. Any questions?
No, thank you. I think, since they're doing almost like parallel concerns,
Yeah.
that we should be aware of what's happening, and I appreciate
Good.
your report.
Yeah, and I don't know about these meetings, where these minutes can be obtained if you were to look for them.
Probably, did you get them from John?
I know John, but they're not going to be submitted to the website, San Juan Mass website or anything like that.
Do we have any strategic plan stuff on there?
Yeah, I just posted those on the website today, and then I also put up a Google Calendar on the calendar page, and it shows all of the city meetings, but right now I'm trying to figure out where to put the strategic planning agenda, or where to place it on the website. So right now I actually have it attached to the event itself, so if you click on the event, it will give you a link to the agenda.
Okay.
I just looked at the Pasadena, Pasadena just had a big embezzlement problem. It's my hometown. And I looked on their city's webpage, and their calendar shows an event, and you click on the event and you see the agenda.
We're going to publish the minutes before they're approved. That's one of my big
This way people-
concerns throughout my life.
Yeah.
Do not believe in publishing unapproved minutes, but apparently that's the way the world is going.
Well, this way gives the public a chance to comment on what we did.
Yes, but the minutes are not approved yet. Maybe that really didn't happen.
And you need, again, we need to reiterate that
It's
this
draft
committee,
unapproved minutes.
right, but this committee stems from this general plan, strategic plan, right? So everything that's been itemized in the new general plan, within its strategic plan, That's where this stems from, as far as your committee goes. So it is connected to the new general plan.
So on the website, I would like to be able to say, this is a draft, it has not been approved minutes.
Okay, I can put a blurb on that.
I don't know how the rest of you feel about it, but that's my bottom line about
Now, are you referring to
publishing.
planning commission or?
Anything.
Because strategic
For
planning, they don't
example,
approve
the
minutes.
planning
I was
commission
gonna say, I don't think
meeting,
we've ever approved minutes.
All you gotta do is we can have put a watermark. This says draft right across it.
Draft.
Would that do? Yeah, because it'll just say draft right across in real low key.
and that's my suggestion to the strategic committee, that their minutes always say draft, if that's what they are.
So that being said, do you have anything further to add, Matt?
I think we covered it.
Okay.
No, I personally appreciate the.
Well, good. Yeah, I mean, we're doing it. I mean, step by step. I mean, it's involved, and we seem to be getting a little bit bigger as the group goes. So we've got.
What's your attendance? I mean, it's how many members you've got? What percent attend the meetings regularly?
I would say about 80%.
Okay,
Definitely enough for a quorum.
that's good.
Yeah.
As an observer, the people who make reports there are very enthusiastic, and they've done a thorough job.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is really good. Okay. Any other comments on that, for or against? It's in between?
No.
Okay, secondary unit section. This is the Muni Code section 1104.050B9, relating to secondary units.
2 or 3 times I've come across where people come in and ask for permits to build secondary units. And one of them was, I told him I said maximum 600, and he designed it, and he finally got 512 square feet in it. And when I did the plan check, there was rooms that were 8.83 inches wide, 9 feet, and the Uniform Building Code says that there are certain minimums, and I struggle with kitchens that you turn around and you're bumping into cabinets on both sides. And I looked at it from a practical standpoint, and I says, well, wait a minute, maybe the 600, you can try to get a bedroom, and a living room, and a bathroom, and a kitchen involved. You don't have, and I just took it upon myself as the next designer, I laid out a plan, 600, and I showed you what 600 square foot, 24 and a half by 24 and a half, bathrooms and kitchens. And it's an efficiency that they're bringing. And then I said to myself, well, what would a little 2-bedroom unit, and you'd have to kind of raise it up to about 850, and that would be a livable space. And then the third one was without just a 1-bedroom, but it gives you more living space and amenities and stuff like that. It's really up to the commission whether you want to direct the staff. I feel this is that we should explore maybe modifying the secondary unit to allow somewhere up at 800 to 8.25 or something like that. And it'll make it a little bit more practical to build a secondary unit and a living. Now, the secondary units are not 2-story, they have to be single-story.
One thing I would look for is our housing element. We're looking for housing. And if you put a secondary unit, they were generally called granny flats or something like that. And so once upon a time, it was for granny, but today, they're just second homes for income. We could restrict those things to by having either the housing authority or somebody to set, say, a Section 8 price on them, and you build them, and that's the rent is going to be controlled that way, and that would provide affordable housing, in nice neighborhoods, nice areas. But if we're going to go bigger, I would think that might be something we should think about.
Well, there are 4 granny units in Creekbridge, and those property owners are supposed to go to the city for a list of Section 8 housing.
But the city doesn't control Section 8.
Well,
Isn't
the
that
county
just not
does.
the housing authority?
It's in Santa Cruz, I believe.
Yeah, housing authority for Monterey County. And that way, they've got the price list, how many square feet, et cetera, amenities, and that'd be the price. And that way, you could say, we provided affordable housing. Because there's no way lower income people are going to be able to buy a lot.
I think that's how the city satisfied the housing need, the inclusionary housing in Creekbridge.
the creek, but yeah, they satisfied a portion of the affordable inclusionary by allowing those little secondary units. The question there is, can they control the rent? And the city hasn't been judicious about it yet.
See, that's why I say, because when I did this kind of ordinance, I said, okay, get the housing authority, say, okay, you bring me back a certificate from the housing authority that says this is what the rent's going to be, and you're going to deal with them, because they're going to collect it once they have the authority to get it. And that way we provided affordable housing for the people who really needed it.
Afford it if you have to pay the water.
Our granny unit is 450 square feet, and the other ones are 537.
But you have a driveway back to yours, right?
Yeah.
These gonna have driveways, Roger, or are they gonna be walked to?
Well, it depends on the lot and the size, you know.
And I'm concerned about overbuilding on sites. If we're getting some
then you get
McMansions on
parking.
sites, and then we'll have, units in the back too.
The two houses at the end of Fifth Street, no, Fourth
There's someone said,
Street, the ones we just put in there.
Yeah, 4th Street.
4th Street. There's no yards on them. These things are probably built wall to wall. Sure, they meet the minimum requirements, setbacks, but I just see that you talk about families, and you don't have a yard for the kids to play in. That to me, that's contradictory. And so we gave them smaller lots. I think the houses should be proportional to that thing, so that it's a family.
Yeah.
The rear setbacks are 10 feet, and then there's a little small area in the back, but it's only like a 10 by 12, Very small backyards.
so these little houses like this are gonna pay the regular sewer rates too, when they're hooked up to the other house?
Yeah, they do.
Well, I think that's another problem
Yeah.
there. We've already got Mrs. Denny that came from the city council, and she has a little secondary unit behind hers, and her daughter lives there, and she's paying a full sewer connection of $7,400
So
or
am I.
something like that, and it's only got maybe a third of the fixture units that a normal house has. So we're wrestling with that, and I have a staff report to the city council.
Isn't there a minimum size for a granny unit as well?
The
In some
maximum
cities?
size is 600.
In our
The minimum-
cities, but
The minimum has to do with the building code. You can't create a bedroom smaller than certain dimensions,
Mhm.
And a bathroom has to be certain dimensions, so those control you.
And then we need-
Like Linda says, you could make one at about 450,
Mhm.
and it's tight, but it just barely meets the uniform building code standards.
So the building code establishes the minimum, and we can go to the maximum.
That's health and safety, yeah.
And we need to consider in these, that if they become real granny units, that the wheelchairs and so forth and so on, and that accessibility.
Yeah.
Where I think I discovered is that most of the 600 square foot, you can only get a one bedroom in.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have asked for 2 bedrooms, and by the time you get 2 bedrooms in a 600, it's
No,
almost
really.
impossible.
But these houses here are not up to standards either for handicap either, for old people. There's no
Well,
wheelchair,
the
they can't.
secondary unit, you're going to have to make ADA compliance, 3-foot doors.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
all
that
of-
should be automatic.
Yeah.
And all of this goes along with the square footage allowed on the lot and so forth and so on, and all
Yeah,
those
right.
percentages.
Yeah, the next item is the lot coverage, where I discovered that plays into the same thing when I was reviewing these secondary units and the lot coverage and things. That's where I discovered conflict in the code there. And we'll get into it in a few minutes.
All kinds of problems.
But I just need the direction if you want me to explore and,
To come back with a resolution.
I don't know, it seems like you've got so much on your plate, and how much need is there for secondary units?
Well, we had 2 applications later, so
Permit fee for this is gonna be about $15,000. Sewer hookup and all that stuff.
yeah, well, you got sewer and water is right about $12,000.
Yeah, so then you're gonna have to get your rent around $1,200 a month to come out of it. And that takes 20 years to get your money back.
Yeah. But
That's a good point.
if you can get a
100% rent.
$1,200, that's cheap. Because I've seen little secondary units that are rent for $2,400.
Here?
No, not
Oh.
in town.
San Francisco. Ridiculous. Maybe $3,000 a month.
But the average cost
For a studio.
to build a house is running, what, $150 a square foot? With all your
Most of those
fees?
builders are bringing them in at about 120, 125.
Yeah, most are about 150, yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah. But if you
And
have,
going up
if you have amenities and
Every square foot.
or granted on the things, it's going to be 150.
And the school tax is what, $7 a square foot?
No, $2.97.
$2.97 now? Per square foot.
Then a senior has to pay that, but a senior doesn't have
Well,
any
it's just
small
like this
children.
project here, we're not, we should really be taking into consideration the cemetery too, because we're running out of space up there.
Really?
That's your problem.
No,
No, well,
it's not ours, it's a city problem, really.
Well, you're supposed to buy some properties to
Why don't you buy the D'Ambrosio
buy the
property?
damn.
Oh, there you go.
We tried to buy that when it was for $400,000, they wouldn't sell it to us.
Well, maybe
Now
now they
it's
will after they've been
2.4
sitting on
million.
it. Well, ask them again.
2.4 million.
Where's this at?
The the D'Ambrosio, big down from the cemetery.
What I understand is that more and more of the burials are drifting towards cremation, and I
Yes.
think that's the direction we got to go.
Well, yeah.
I already got my lots. Got 6 of them.
Well, that helps us because we
You
get
can
taxes
sell 'em.
on it.
Oh, we're getting off track here, guys.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry. We
Okay.
we were talking about,
Yeah, why don't we
extra
talk,
units.
yeah, why don't you bring some more for discussion on this thing, and we'll keep going, because I think it's,
So it's going to be discussion and no resolution?
no, it's this, we
He just
need
wanted
to.
direction.
More discussion?
However, the next item is something that I think you need to take action upon. I'll bring up when I was doing all this stuff with these secondary units, I found for a single-family residential lot, other than the building coverage in Chapter 1103, the municipal code, a maximum site coverage shall be 10%. It said right before. I said, whoa. The maximum building coverage is 40% of the lot. So if you have a 7,000 square foot lot, and you take 40% of that, you got 2,800 square feet for a building home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you go and you say impervious material, premium material, they don't qualify, but any concrete on a lot coverage qualifies. So your driveway, your walkway, your patio covers, everything.
Comes out of the 2,800?
No.
Adds to
Just
it.
the building comes out 28. So if you add the driveway, a couple hundred feet, a patio cover and everything, I calculated it, and the minimum is about 3,500 square feet. That's 50% of the lot, is the lot coverage. But the code says it
40%.
can't exceed 10%. So there's a conflict.
They saw a need for small houses
And
in town.
I think probably when it was drafted, it probably should have said 50% or 55% or something like that. And
See, this is where you could,
just
this,
need your direction, I did some calculations there, maximum coverage 40, concrete driveway 3,200 square feet, 45, if you put patio in the back and everything. And if you want, I can bring this back as a resolution, and you can recommend to this council to change the ordinance. And really, I'm asking you is we should modify 1104-10, that's subparagraph A, and get rid of the 10% and make it what it actually would be realistic.
But I don't
At
understand that.
60%.
Look at the house on North Street, that big, new two-story house.
North Street?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a stucco house, two-story, tile roof.
Yeah, that's about 32% lot coverage.
Well,
You've been in the backyard?
No.
Way back, it's got a big backyard. That's the total lot. If you take a lot that's 7,000 square feet, and you're saying is the buildings can't be more than 40% of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But the lot coverage is different than the building coverage.
oh,
The site coverage is building the different. The site coverage says the total impervious surface. And that's concrete driveways, stoops, patio covers, and the building.
anything that water can't go through.
Okay.
So
So that's what you
currently
want.
it's 10%.
That's what you want to change.
And the code says the maximum site coverage, 10%.
That's
Maximum
unrealistic.
site coverage.
Yeah.
It's 40%,
The
isn't it?
site coverage and the building coverage are two different things. They're saying is the maximum building can't exceed 40% of the site. But the site coverage can't exceed more than 10%. It's in conflict.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So you're,
Yeah, how do you fix it?
I would say is the minimum you should say is the maximum site coverage should be 52% or 55%. And that will take care of if somebody in the backyard wants to put a slab around or a pool, you know, or something like that.
so, but here you're recommending 60%.
Yeah,
I'd like to toss one more thing in, the McMansions. Okay, if we could tie this to floor area ratio, you know, you have so many square feet of house as a percentage of the lot. And that would keep the size of the house down, and you can still put in your driveways and your patios and whatnot. But right now, we just say, okay, it's 10-foot side yards, 10-foot rear yard, 20-foot front yard, so you do 4 and all of a sudden you go up there. And that's say, hey, you know, it's umpteen thousand feet here or there, we can cut that down.
Now, the disadvantage of what Ernie is talking about is floor area, the floor area ratio is that it promotes two-story because then, you know, the things there, and then you get higher, more floor area, less coverage. And right now, our code says the maximum building coverage can't be more than 40% of the lot, which basically is a FAR ratio of 40% or 4/10. There's two ways of handling it.
Yeah.
Floor area ratio or the lot coverage, you know. And I'm saying this is maybe 50% or 52% or something like that is probably what you should say. You should say is the maximum site coverage, and that includes the building, the patio, driveways, and everything.
Impervious surface.
That would include the pool?
Well,
Yeah, well, see, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
where they have solid coverage.
why can't we be realistic? Right now, it's in conflict.
Well, the whole point of the impervious surface business is that it prevents runoff and flooding.
Yeah.
Because it soaks in on the property.
Yeah.
So it's not out to zap somebody, it's just out to get flooding.
And that's what the site coverage is all about. You don't want to put site 100% concrete.
Yeah.
Even if you paint it green, I mean.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. No.
Yeah, it's
It's better than lawn. No.
okay.
Move
It
ahead.
would probably be, my recommendation, push them to share is make it 50%, and that'll cover the building and the driveways and stuff.
Yeah, 50%.
So we're going to direct staff to go with 50%
Yeah, work something out.
with the resolution.
We're going to have a public hearing on it, so we may hear, you
Yeah.
know, we're ready for the resolution,
Yeah.
we're going to have public
Okay.
hearing on it, so. Okay. Future agenda items, anything you want to talk about in the future?
Now, the only other thing is Matt and I will apologize. You asked us last time to bring back Harvey's lockup, and we didn't have enough time to get that thing there, and we bring it back.
That's understandable.
Yeah, right.
No problem.
I mentioned it to him, and he says, come over and talk to me, and we'll go through it on me. He's going to show me what he's done, and I had my checklist there, but we got so busy and I didn't follow up.
But in your opinion,
Christmas.
in your opinion, he's moving.
He's gone what, almost 8 years now, huh? Pretty close, 7 years?
I guess, yeah.
And it's not, none of it, the street's not down the back, the fire sprinkler's not
Yeah,
bad.
he's done a little bit more on Second
I've seen he
Street,
put a little-
but he hasn't gone around on North Street yet. Yeah.
Well, we need to look at
Church Street, I think.
the awning or the balcony that he has overhang, because that didn't look secure to us 8 years ago or whenever it was, and it doesn't look any better now, you know, for pedestrian safety.
Yeah, right. Okay. I'll be bringing it back to you.
Okay,
And then I'll invite him to me.
good. Anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, I got one more question. What's happening with our gas station? Another lawsuit?
No, they got trapped into the rain and they kind of stopped, and I just called them this morning and I told them, I says, let's get going again. So
They're gonna go with it?
Yeah.
And what about the parking lot where the brewery is? What's happening on that one?
well, they dug down there and then it started raining and it got real saturated and I told him, I says, I don't want you to throw base rock in there until it dries up.
Are we going to see the landscape plans? We haven't seen them.
Yeah, I have them there. I just haven't bothered bringing them to you, you know. Once they get everything kind of there, then I'll bring those to you. He has the patio plans and this.
Okay.
Wow.
Did we just discuss the Great Wall on 3rd Street? What
We
about that
haven't.
wall, that property that's on 3rd Street?
The Lopez.
Once was the preschool
Yeah.
property?
They took it off.
Is that still up in the air somewhere?
Well, that's related to something I want to talk about. I'd like us to relook at fencing, because our current fence definition in the ordinance says fence means any structure forming a physical barrier by means of hedge, wood, mesh, metal, chain, brick, stake, plastic, or other similar materials. I don't think a fence is made of brick, and a fence isn't made of stucco. That's a wall.
His is wood and stucco, yeah.
So I think we need to redefine it and revisit that issue.
Okay. This all doesn't have to be done in the next meeting, Matt.
Yeah. Yeah, and
These are the kind of things that we can look up.
Yeah, we can see what other
Bring back
cities
and
call
see.
it.
Any other issues?
I
we
have
have
another, I forgot, I had a senior moment.
I just thought we'd bring, I mean, the folks are tied up pretty much with what we've given them so
Yeah.
far. But this would be long-term stuff, unless we have get a couple of committees together and start.
I got one more. We don't have a tree ordinance, huh? In
Yeah,
Fairmont?
apparently.
Yeah, there's a tree order.
Do we have one?
You have to have a permit to remove a tree.
I paid for a permit to do that.
You know, you have to have an arborist.
Is there a description of the tree? Like, does it have to be 2 feet diameter?
Oh,
Does it have to
what is a
be-
tree?
Yeah, what is a tree?
Yeah.
I think San Juan just claims anything is a tree that might come down.
Well, we should protect all oak trees, that's for sure.
I think if anything is oak trees are always been heritage trees that you want to protect.
We
But
don't have many oak
there's
trees
some
in town.
jurisdictions that they will allow you to remove.
I'd like to take that big one down.
If we really,
Los Altos,
Yeah,
city, they're really tough on them, you know.
if we really wanted to protect trees, we'd take all of that mistletoe out of it and start and take down the ones that are
Yeah,
creating the mistletoe havens.
and planting new trees. We need to look into the Arbor Day Foundation.
And take
for
away,
replacing.
I don't know how we can afford to get rid of the trees that are
The
such a
Rudy
mess.
Park is historically bad because
Tell
those trees
Yeah.
are just full of mistletoe and it's killing them. And I wanted to start yanking them down and then replanting a new species in there. You know.
And that corner of 3rd and McCollum has, I guess, a locust maybe on one side and
Yeah.
sycamore on the other that, I don't know how healthy they are, but they're always, you know,
Yes.
Do you remember
limbs
that
on the ground.
the little church, when we had a different city manager, made her take out all of the trees and replace the sidewalk entirely because it was ruffling the sidewalk and so forth, and so now there's nothing there.
I think they planted some trees, but they're probably very slow growing.
Are there any spaces there?
Just small.
Yeah.
And why is the city still getting letters from property owners on Lang Street on the storm drain?
They haven't done anything and it's with the rains, you know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that was a thing where
Caltrans.
storm drain were there and then Caltrans came and put the sound wall there and it blocked the drainage that goes out to the things and it comes back along there. And so I've surveyed it and everything and it's going to take about 75, 80 feet of pipe to direct it.
Is that going to be Caltrans' responsibility?
Well, I'm having a meeting with them on the 15th.
Aren't they Teflon?
Do these property owners know that you're having a meeting?
No, I haven't.
Because they're still sending out notes saying that nothing's being done.
Do they send them to you? Or
To planning commissioners.
I don't get any.
45 people are getting them.
Really?
Yeah.
Why don't they know who we are and get it to all of us if they're sending it out to
You
someone?
want me to forward it to you?
How do they get your email?
I don't know.
Huh.
It's on the
on the
site.
web, on
What
the
I-
San
what I
Juan
don't
Bautista
get.
web.
Which is okay.
Planning commissioner.
Council gets them, I think the commission gets
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You
yeah.
get 'em?
Yes,
You get
it's
'em?
Commissioner Franco.
Yeah.
Well, I know I'm there, but there must be a disconnect, because I'm not.
Yeah,
doing
there must be
anything.
something
I
that's
only
not working.
Got one once.
Check the forwarding address.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else we can cover?
We
Yeah.
worn out the audience.
Thanks for sticking with us.
Are we moved to adjourn?
No, we got comments from the commissioners. Any comments? I'd like to make one. I just saw that the new state law came in regarding the Native American artifacts that are found in the ground. And now there's going to be a whole new commission coming up. And there's, instead of, let's see, they're going to have a lot more to say about not just the fact that you found bones, but there is a sacred place, a sacred hill, a sacred location to them, to their culture, that would have an effect on what a developer can do on the property. And this apparently just, it was in the paper today, I think.
That's interesting. The Mercury?
Yeah, I think it was in Merck. There's a whole list of new stuff coming in. That one got to me because, you know, we have the big fields
Argo,
out there. Argo and our new subdivision.
Yeah.
You know, with the folks, how big was this mission at one time, you know, that people were in it? And before the missions, you have the Native Americans who just lived there. So, might keep an eye on that. Okay, city manager? Matt? Okay, Chair,
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
We don't need a roll call on this one, we'll just walk. 9:16.